The Three Dragon Kings of Douluo. Chapter 1. In the hall of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family, several tall figures were sitting in rows. Sitting at the head was an old man wearing a blue robe. He had grey beard and hair, a straight nose and a square mouth. He was more than 2 meters tall and had the aura of having been in a high position for a long time. He is none other than Yu Yuanzhen, the contemporary patriarch of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus family. The top 95 level attack Douluo in the world, and the Dingai Shenzhen of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus family. Next to Yu Yuanzhen sat the elders of the sect and his second brother Yu Luomian. Yu Luomian is the biological father of Lu Erlong and the biological grandfather of Yu Tianxin, the captain of the Thunder Academy team. Because he is the younger brother of Yu Yuanzhen and is smooth in dealing with things, he firmly holds the position of the elder of the sect. Today is the day when the martial soul awakens. The children in the hall are all direct descendants of the sect who are preparing to awaken. Their parents are the mainstays of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Yu Tianming has been in Douluo continent for 6 years and has been waiting for this moment for 6 years. Yu Tianming is the only grandson of Yu Luomian's late third brother. His parents passed away shortly after he was born. Yu Luomian's son and daughter-in-law felt sorry for his loneliness, and they just had a child, so they simply took care of him and their child Yu Tianxin together. Yu Tianming's parents also have the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex martial spirit. If nothing goes wrong, his martial spirit will also be the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. His future achievements will only depend on his innate soul power. But if it mutates, it is very likely that the martial soul will deteriorate. For example, Lu Erlong, the child of Yu Luomian and Fengchen woman, although extremely talented, her red dragon spirit cannot transform into a dragon, and its strength is slightly inferior to that of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. And Yu Xiaogang, the second son of the sect leader Yu Yuanzhen, awakened a pig and was despised by everyone. The two brothers Yu Yuanzhen and Yu Luomian only had more than a dozen children, but they awakened 2 mutated martial arts spirits. This shows that the risk of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus dragon's martial spirit mutating is not small. The risk of martial soul mutation is so great. Out of consideration for the future, who can really not care? Yu Tianxin and Yu Tianming will both awaken this year. They have pure blood and are most likely to awaken higher innate soul power. Therefore, the sect leader and all the elders gathered here, and Yu Luomian even requested to personally host the awakening ceremony. After the children arrived, Yu Yuanzhen, who was sitting high on the throne, signaled to start the awakening ceremony, and Yu Luomian, who was on the side, walked straight to the children. He smiled kindly and said, "Don't be nervous, we are all family members. Today I hope everyone can awaken a powerful martial spirit." After that, he took out 6 black awakening stones from the storage soul guide, scattered the 6 stones casually and arranged them in a standard hexagon on the ground. Blue soul power surged out from Yu Luomian's body, like swirling clouds, projected onto the awakening stone. He said loudly, "Yu Xiaotian, stand in the middle of the awakening stone." The first child in the front of the team heard the words and hurried forward and stood in the middle of the hexagon. Immediately, the awakening stone emitted a hazy blue light, forming a light blue light shield that enveloped him. Yu Luomian's soul control was excellent. Under his guidance, a dark leopard shadow quickly appeared behind Yu Xiaotian. Seeing this, Yu Luomian took out the blue and gold patterned crystal ball and put it in front of him and said, "Now touch the crystal ball with both hands." As soon as Yu Xiaotian put his hand on the crystal ball, the blue-gold crystal ball flickered regularly, and the light became brighter and brighter. If anyone observes carefully, they will find that the crystal ball flashes slowly 4 times first, and then 3 times at a slightly faster speed. The first 4 times are obviously brighter, and the last 3 times are slightly brighter. Yu Luomian nodded with satisfaction and announced to everyone, "Yu Xiaotian, Martial Soul Thunder Leopard, Soul Power 4 points and 3. Obviously, unlike the crystal ball used by Su Yuntao, the awakening crystal of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect is more accurate in testing innate soul power and can better demonstrate the talent of a soul master." Seeing that his innate soul power was obvious, Yu Xiaotian let out a sigh of relief and quickly retreated to the back of the team. Next, the children followed Yu Xiaoshan's process to awaken their martial spirits one by one. Jade Sky, Martial Spirit Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus, Soul Power Level 5. Yu Tiankan, Martial Soul Lay Pheasant, Soul Power Level 2.5. The children's martial souls have all awakened, and the highest innate soul power is only level 6. At this time, everyone looked at Yu Tianxin and Yu Tianming, who had not yet awakened. Whether the Blue Lightning Overlord sect could awaken high-level innate soul power this year depended on these two people. Yu Tianxin was impatient and stepped forward to awaken his martial spirit. As expected, the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex was awakened just like in the original work, but his innate soul power was not very high. Yu Tianxin, martial soul blue electric Tyrannosaurus, soul power level 7.6. As one of the heirs of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, Yu Tianxin's soul power of less than level 8 is obviously somewhat unsatisfactory, and he will most likely be a contra in the future. But before Yu Tianheng awakened, he was the strongest genius of this generation. Seeing this result, Yu Tianxin was very satisfied. She suppressed a smile and came over to pat her good brother Yu Tianming on the shoulder, and whispered in his ear, "Come on." Yu Tianming was not nervous when things happened, and walked straight into the six-pointed star array. Under Yu Luomian's operation, the six-pointed star array burst out with blue light, covering Yu Tianming in a semicircle. "Tianming, close your eyes and feel the power hidden in your body." Yu Luomian's words reached Yu Tianming's ears. Hearing this, Yu Tianming closed his eyes, and under the guidance of Yu Luomian's soul power, a powerful force quickly burst out. I saw a giant beast emerging from behind Yu Tianming. It was different from the shape of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. It had 3 dragon heads, a pair of huge and ferocious wings on its back, a slender neck, and thick legs. The whole body is covered with scales and there are 2 tails on the back, similar to the giant dragon in Western mythology. A vague pressure began to fill the hall. The owners of the dragon spirits present could feel that the dragon's bloodline was above theirs. Yu Tianxin, who was at a lower level, was like a dove seeing an eagle, feeling the terror that he could not match it. The usually calm patriarch Yu Yuanzhen stood up immediately at this moment. He couldn't recognize Yu Tianming's martial spirit. But from the aura, we can tell that it is a pure dragon spirit, and the quality of the spirit must be higher than that of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yu Tianming didn't pay attention to everyone's reactions. After he opened his eyes, he immediately looked at the giant dragon behind him. I thought to myself, isn't this the monster Ghidorah? But the difference between Ghidorah in the movie is that his martial spirit has 2 additional attributes, wind and fire, and he has a pair of forearms that are relatively small compared to his thighs. Before anyone could ask questions, Yu Tianming said, "My martial spirit is the 3-headed Dragon King. In addition to the electric attribute of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus, it also has wind and fire attributes, and I am good at flying." He chose the more intuitive 3 Dragon Kings instead of the confusing name Ghidorah. Upon hearing this, Yu Luomian's face blossomed into a smile, and he couldn't wait to pick up the crystal ball and said, "Come and test your innate soul power." As Yu Tianming put his hand on the crystal ball, his soul power poured out uncontrollably, and the crystal ball flashed 10 times, emitting a dazzling light that illuminated the entire hall. Innately full of soul power. Yu Luomian's strength is not mentioned in the original work, so I refer to the setting in the comics. The time is relatively early now, and his strength will improve later. Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex is a dinosaur in the original book, a Western dragon in the comics, and a Chinese dragon in the anime. The reasons why the original Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus is a dinosaur are as follows. The martial spirit of Huo Wushuan in Douluo 1 is one-horned fire Tyrannosaurus, which is a dinosaur. Tang Wulin's soul ring in Douluo 3 is the Tyrannosaurus Rex of the Golden Dragon King's bloodline. The fusion skill of the Yu Xiaogang trio is Golden Holy Dragon. Tang Wulin can use Tyrannosaurus Rex and Thunder Hell Yanming Vine to simulate the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. In addition, there are Oscar, Haagen-Dazs City, Bibi Dong, Yu Xiaogang the prototype of the master and so on. Douluo has everything, it's a complete hodgepodge, and this is the 3rd young master of the Tang family. Chapter 2. The Blue Lightning Tyrant clan is not like the Haoshan clan, which has a bunch of titles, nor is it like the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile clan, which has 2 outstanding titled Douluo. As the last of the top 3 clans, there is only Yu Yuanzhen, a 95-level strong attack Douluo. Apart from the top masters, the younger generation does not have geniuses like the Haoshan twin pride, only a few soul kings, soul emperors and a runaway Yu Xiaogang. What the Blue Lightning Tyrant clan lacks is young blood, and the appearance of Yu Tianming and Yu Tianxin is a timely help. Especially Yu Tianming, who has innate full soul power and a mutated martial soul. As long as he practices steadily, he will definitely become a title. Yu Yuanzhen walked to Yu Tianming's side in 2 steps, put his big hand on his shoulder, and laughed heartily. He thought that if he could train him before he died, he would definitely be able to maintain the status of the top 3 clans, or even go further. He said to everyone present, Yu Tianming is gifted and unrivaled in his generation. God blesses our Blue Lightning Tyrant clan. From now on, Yu Tianming is the young master of the Blue Lightning Tyrant clan. The Blue Lightning Tyrant clan was supported by Yu Yuanzhen alone, and he is the one who has the final say in the sect. Upon hearing this, the elders did not hesitate at all and immediately clasped their fists to Yu Tianming and said, "Meet the young master." He also said to Yu Tianming and Yu Tianxin, "From now on, you two brothers will move to my mansion and I will guide you in your cultivation." Yu Tianming and Yu Tianxin looked at each other and responded in unison, "We will listen to Grandpa." The two followed Yu Yuanzhen to the clan leader's mansion and came to their residence. Yu Yuanzhen pointed to the two small courtyards with walls next to them and said, "From now on, you two will live here." This small courtyard is similar to the side room of a quadrangle courtyard. But the venue is open and the decoration is gorgeous, giving birth to a different style out of thin air. Yu Yuanzhen waved his hand and asked the housekeeper to bring 3 girls, all of them were 8 or 9 years old, tall and good-looking. He introduced them to the two. This is Azhu, Azii, and Abai. Their martial spirits are Fire Snake, Thunder Eel, and Blue Bird respectively, and they all have dragon blood. They will be your maids from now on. Azhu and Azii will follow Tianming, and Abai will follow Tianxin. Hearing this, Azhu and Azii responded to Yu Tianming, "Hello, young master." Yu Yuanzhen took out 2 booklets and handed them to the two, saying, "This is the giant dragon meditation method passed down in the sect. Azhu and the others have practiced it for several years. You can ask them if you have any questions. After Tianming learns the meditation method, I will personally take you to choose a spirit ring." After Yu Yuanzhen explained these things, he turned around and walked towards his residence. Seeing Yu Yuanzhen walking away, Yu Tianxin said to Yu Tianming, "Let's spar some other day, let me see how powerful you are." Yu Tianxin is a person who is unwilling to be mediocre. In the original book, he became the first heir of the Blue Lightning Tyrant clan through hard work. Now, when facing Yu Tianming, he was not scared off by the difference in talent. On the contrary, the fear when he first saw King Ghidorah made him even more unwilling. Yu Tianxin's temper is inherited from the same lineage. His aunt Lu Erlong has a hot temper and is competitive. His grandfather Yu Luomian invested in the Blue Tyrant Academy for Lu Erlong, but did not take her back to the clan for face. In the comics, he even betrayed the clan in order to break through the Soul Douluo. After years of getting along, Yu Tianming knows Yu Tianxin's temperament very well, and he is also happy about it. He smiled and said, "Then you have to work hard." Then he took Azhu and Azii into the courtyard. The courtyard has been cleaned up long ago, and the house is fully furnished. Azhu bowed to Yu Tianming and said, "Yesterday the sect master specifically ordered us to clean up the house, and the young master can move in directly." Azii added, "The young master's master bedroom is on the 2nd floor, and our room is opposite the master bedroom." The two people's repeated calls of young master reminded him of Murong Fu in Tianlong Ba Bulletin, and he couldn't help but laugh and cry. He said to Azhu, the leader, "No need to be polite in the future. Let me introduce your martial spirits and levels first." Azhu said, "My martial spirit is the Fire Snake, the innate soul power is level 4, and I am 10 years old this year. The soul power is level 14. He also said for Azii, "Azi's martial spirit is the Thunder Eel, the innate soul power is also level 4, this year I am 9 years old, I have just obtained a soul ring, and the soul power is level 12. Yu Tianming nodded. The two have good talents and can be trained as mid-level forces in the sect. The grandfather asked them to be his mates and practice the giant dragon meditation method. It is obvious that he has ulterior motives. He didn't have any evil thoughts. He just regarded the two as his future team. If the two are loyal enough, they can be confidants. Without further ado, Yu Tianming could not wait to learn the giant dragon meditation method. The giant dragon meditation method inherited in the sect has no special effects, but is more suitable for dragon soul masters than ordinary meditation methods. The meditation method in this world is different from the cultivation method in martial arts. It is simple and easy to get started. Yu Tianming can master it in just a cup of tea. The time spent in the practice passed very quickly. When Yu Tianming opened his eyes again, the sun had already set. He ordered Azhu and Azii to go to the kitchen in the mansion to get food, and he brewed a pot of tea and drank it alone. At this time, there was a knock on the door outside the house. Thinking that someone was visiting, Yu Tianming had to open the door himself. Standing at the door was a young man with short black hair, dark eye sockets, and untidy beard. It was the martial soul master Yu Xiaogang. Since Yu Xiaogang returned to the clan 2 years ago, he has stayed in his small courtyard all day, and Yu Tianming has not seen him many times. Even if they met, Yu Xiaogang would not pay any attention to Yu Tianming. Only Yu Tianheng ran to Yu Xiaogang's yard to play every day and became familiar with him. As the saying goes, there is nothing wrong without going to the Three Treasures Palace. Yu Xiaogang must have known that he had awakened a good martial spirit when he came here this time. Yu Xiaogang stood at the door, raised his head slightly, put his hands behind his back, faced Yu Tianming with an attitude of a master, and said lightly, "Aren't you going to invite your second uncle to come in and sit down?" Although his second uncle has long been famous within the clan, he doesn't have a good reputation in the Soul Master world. But after all, his second uncle, Yu Tianming, would not turn him away. Then he opened the door and said to Yu Xiaogang, "Second uncle, please come in." After Yu Xiaogang entered the door, he sat down on the main seat, poured himself a cup of tea, and said leisurely, "I heard that Tianming you have awakened a good mutated martial spirit. Unfortunately, no one in the sect knows how to cultivate your martial spirit. Your second uncle and I are also mutated by the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex martial soul. Although the martial soul is a bad mutation and the soul power level is not high, I have also studied the martial soul for more than 20 years. It just so happens that I have done very in-depth research on mutated martial arts, and I also guided another dragon-type mutated martial spirit in obtaining the soul ring. Now he doesn't know that Lu Erlong is his cousin, so he talks so eloquently. In the field of theoretical research on martial arts, I am ranked second and no one dares to be ranked first. If you are willing to let your second uncle teach you, I will fully develop your martial soul and become the youngest titled Douluo." Hearing this, Yu Tianming felt that what he said made some sense. After all, his martial soul research was indeed much better than ordinary soul masters, and he also had practical experience in guiding Lu Erlong to obtain soul rings. Of course, the most important thing is that Yu Xiaogang is really confident. Yu Tianming then asked, "So, second uncle, in your opinion, how should I develop my martial soul, and how should I add a soul ring?" Chapter 3. When he learned from Yu Tianheng that Yu Tianming, who was also a mutated martial soul, had full innate soul power, but he only had half a level of innate soul power, Yu Xiaogang was so jealous that his nails were embedded in his flesh. But Yu Xiaogang soon realized that his opportunity had come. This was his chance to become famous all over the world. So he came here with full confidence, hoping to prove himself with Yu Tianming. Faced with Yu Tianming's question, Yu Xiaogang raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said confidently and calmly, "I think that unlike the blue electric Tyrannosaurus, you should not use the strong attack style, but the agile attack style." He cleared his throat and said, "I know you are confused as to why I want you to follow the agile attack style instead of the strong attack style that has been passed down from generation to generation by the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. You know, the biggest difference between the 3 Dragon Kings you awakened and the blue electric Tyrannosaur is that your martial spirit can fly. Think about it, an agile attack soul master with the ability to fly and the physical strength of a blue electric Tyrannosaur is simply a nightmare for an auxiliary soul master." Hearing this, Yu Tianming already understood that he had high regard for Yu Xiaogang, but he did not expose it and instead asked, "My martial spirit is good at physical fitness, takes the offensive route, and has the ability to fly. It is not good to use my advantages." Yu Xiaogang is still confident, "In this case, you will be forgotten by everyone. There are so many powerful attack system soul masters in the world, you may not be the strongest, but the agility attack system not only has the advantage of flying, but also can do the defenses strongest among the agility and attack systems. This set of logic is self-consistent. If it were Tang San, he would have been fooled to the point where he couldn't find Bei and would kowtow to become his disciple." But Yu Tianming knew that Yu Xiaogang's statement was just developing a shortcoming and was pure fart. However, he did not continue arguing with Yu Xiaogang about which school to follow. Instead, he continued to ask, "Then what soul beast do you think I should choose for my first soul ring?" At this point, Yu Xiaogang became even more excited. He first took out a booklet from his arms and handed it to Yu Tianming and said, "This is the 10 competitiveness of Wuhan written by me. Because of this book, people in the outside world everyone is willing to call me master." Then he said, "According to my theory, you should choose the giant flytrap as your first soul ring. I once surveyed 236 soul masters who chose the giant flytrap as their first soul ring. Their soul skills are it's like a fly trap closing instantly when hunting, much faster than most animal soul rings. Why did the mutated spirit of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus choose a grass instead of a dragon spirit beast? Yu Tianming couldn't help but interrupt Yu Xiaogong's strange thoughts. Yu Xiaogong's words are exactly the same as those used to fool Tang San in the original work. He asked Tang San to absorb animal soul rings and let himself absorb plant soul rings. Is it necessary to find another way out of CO authorship, just to prove his theory? At this time, Yu Xiaogang didn't realize that Yu Tianming no longer believed in his theory, but instead became more confident. One of the 10 core competitivenesses in the Wuhan world that I studied is the theory of Wuhan mimicry. Plant Wuhans may not necessarily you must absorb the soul ring of the plant soul beast, and the animal martial soul does not have to absorb the soul ring of the animal martial soul. Under various conditions, the two can absorb each other. I told you before that the soul skills obtained by giant flytrap as the first soul ring will be much faster than ordinary soul rings, which is very important for agile soul masters. Yu Tianming didn't want to refute his train of thought, let him continue to make mistakes, lest Tang San take the right path. Since he didn't intend to continue listening to his nonsense, he took out the pamphlet given by Yu Xiaogang and said, "Second uncle, my nephew has only attended elementary school in the clan and knows that dragon-type martial souls are most suitable for absorbing dragon-type soul beasts. Animal soul masters not absorbing plant martial arts, but everyone has known for many years that this is just inappropriate. How come it has become a research theory for you?" Yu Xiaogang blushed. He didn't think his theory was wrong. He just thought that a child who had attended elementary school for several years dared to question his half-life hard work. The 10 core competencies of Wuhan is his greatest pride and his dignity. He can turn a blind eye to criticism from others behind his back, but questioning his research is like sitting on his head and shitting. He can't tolerate it at all. Not a little. Before Yu Xiaogang could open his mouth, Yu Tianming said again, "You said that the maximum age of the first soul ring is 423 years. If a top-level beast martial soul like me can absorb it, can an auxiliary soul master also absorb it? A thin and poor soul master can absorb it. If a soul master loses his life because of your misguidance, is it your responsibility? I think many of your theories have been passed down by the clan for many years. As the second son of the clan leader, is it worthy of the clan to spread them at will? Spreading sect knowledge to enhance one's own reputation is disloyal, misleading others without discernment is unjust, and studying for many years and still making mistakes is unskilled, so you dare to call yourself a master." Before Yu Tianming finished speaking, Yu Xiaogang stood up with blood-red eyes, but he didn't know whether it was because of anger or because he felt wronged. His face was red and his neck was thick, and he was breathing heavily for a long time and couldn't speak. I don't know what he was thinking, but he directly summoned Luo Sanbao and said to Yu Tianming, You are simply disrespectful." A Zhu and Azi had been standing behind Yu Xiaogang for a long time with their lunch boxes. When they saw Yu Xiaogang summoning Luo Sanbao, they hurriedly said, "The clan leader is not far away. Are you planning to attack your fellow disciples?" Although both of them were in their teens, they were not afraid of Yu Xiaogang, a loser who only had fart skills. They were just afraid that he would go crazy and fart in the room. Hearing this, Yu Xiaogang snorted coldly, took back Luo Sanbao, and said to Yu Tianming, "I will prove that my theory is correct. It will be too late for you to regret it later." After saying that, he slammed the door and left without looking back. At this moment, Yu Yuanzhen, who was sitting at his desk reviewing sect affairs in the courtyard next door, stopped writing and let out a long sigh. Seeing Yu Xiaogang leave, A Zhu and Azi opened the food box and said to Yu Tianming, "Young master, don't pay attention to Yu Xiaogang. He just relies on being the son of the clan leader and just idles around all day long, studying some martial arts. In theory, the Blue Lightning Overlord sect will be completely disgraced by him." The food boxes in the hands of the two maids were similar to the food boxes in ancient palace dramas. The two of them arranged the meals in the boxes one by one, and there were as many as a dozen dishes. Yu Tianming's index finger moved when he saw it, and he quickly said to the two of them, "There is no need to stick to the vulgar etiquette, you two should sit down and eat together." "Thank you, young master times two." A Zhu and Azi looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. Douluo continent is generally precocious, and the two of them have long known that although they are maids now, they will most likely become concubines in the future. I am really lucky to have met such a kind-hearted and unassuming master. Moreover, Yu Tianming has black hair, black eyes, red lips, and white teeth. He is considered to be the best-looking person in the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, and makes people feel free of grudges. Yu Tianming didn't say much and practiced meditation again after eating. He didn't stop meditating until late at night and fell asleep, waiting to hunt for the soul ring tomorrow. Chapter 4. Early the next morning, Yu Tianming knocked on Yu Yuanzhen's door. A middle-aged maid opened the door, bowed when she saw him and said, "Young master, please come with me. I have been waiting for you for a long time." Follow the maid to Yu Yuanzhen's study. The appearance of this study is quite gorgeous. The furniture is made of thick-grained wood and is covered with exquisite dragon patterns. Just staying in this room is very enjoyable. It makes people feel comfortable, thinking that the material of the furniture is some kind of high-level plant soul beast. Yu Yuanzhen was sitting on the main seat of the study. When he saw Yu Tianming arriving, he who was always serious smiled kindly and said, "It seems that Tianming has mastered the meditation method. Come sit down and chat with Grandpa. Do you want to leave? What kind of first soul ring do you want, the strong attack style or the agile attack style?" They are all a family, and Yu Tianming is not as nervous as ordinary people when seeing a titled Douluo. He sits directly opposite Yu Yuanzhen and talks, "I don't want to follow the strong attack style, nor do I want to follow the agility style. These so-called schools, they are all positions needed for team battles. If I become a titled Douluo like Grandpa in the future, how many people will be able to fight in a team battle? I just want to follow the path that makes me strong enough. As for the first soul ring, I want an amplifying soul skill, so that it can be used even at high levels. If it is an ordinary offensive soul skill, it will not be of much use when it reaches level 80 or 90. Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen put his hands on his hands and said, "It seems that Tianming has a deep understanding of martial arts and soul skills. Although he only went to elementary school, he is much better than the traitor Yu Xiaogang. Children in the clan will go to elementary school when they are about 3 years old to learn basic martial arts knowledge. If Notting City College is a primary school, the elementary school in the clan is a kindergarten." "Grandpa, don't say that. All I know is the basic knowledge of martial arts. There's no need to be modest, your understanding is correct." Yu Yuanzhen said as he took out a notebook from the bookshelf behind him and handed it to Yu Tianming. "These are the amplified soul skills that are easy to obtain among the soul beasts kept in captivity within the clan. Yes, let's see which one you like, and if it's suitable, I'll take you to hunt for it." This notebook separately records the soul beasts that are easy to obtain amplifying soul rings. There is not much content, and Yu Tianming read it quickly. "Grandpa, I think the Wind Thunder Falcon and the Golden Scale Thunder Python are very good. They both have dragon blood, and the amplified soul skills they have obtained are also very powerful." Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen said, "A few days ago, I happened to buy a Wind Thunder Falcon from the Kaibao glazed sect that was more than 400 years old. The blood of the dragon clan is extremely pure. The feathers on the wings of other Wind Thunder Falcons are indigo, only this one has a golden light. I wanted to keep it as a seed to improve the bloodline of the Thunder Falcon raised by the clan, but now it is worth the money to give it to my grandson as the first soul ring." After saying that, he walked out of the room, wrapped Yu Tianming with his soul power and flew towards the Thunder Forest. This Thunder Forest is a forest where the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family specializes in raising soul beasts. Most of the plants planted in the forest are lightning attribute plants. Many dragon-type soul beasts and thunder attribute soul beasts needed by the sect are put in. From time to time, someone will pull them in. Come and feed them to ensure that the spirit beasts in this forest will not kill each other on a large scale. To put it bluntly, this is a pig farm dedicated to raising soul rings for low-level blue lightning Tyrannosaurus children. The forest is not big. Yu Yuanzhen quickly flew to the territory of the Fengling Falcon. He saw several ancient thunder trees hundreds of meters high rising from the ground. Unlike most trees on the earth, which are about 10 meters tall, standing in front of a 100-meter giant tree is like a person standing in front of a 100-story building. Several birds' nests are built on the branches of ancient trees, as if they are located on the cliff, out of reach. Beside the giant tree, there were several thunder falcons circling the bird's nest warily. One of them flashed golden light under the sun, which was dazzling and beautiful. Soul beasts like the wind and thunder falcon fly extremely fast and can easily explode at speeds far beyond their level. They can be kept in the thunder forest only because there is plenty of food here, and the hunting speed of humans is far slower than that of other animals in the outside world. Soul beast. Seeing the golden-winged wind and thunder falcon, Yu Yuanzhen raised his right hand and pointed at it like a claw, and whispered, "The first soul skill, Thunder Dragon Claw. I saw a small electric light shooting from Yu Yuanzhen's hand to the sky instantly. The golden-winged Thunder Falcon was hit before he could react, and fell stiffly in front of Yu Tianming. Seeing this, the remaining Thunder Falcons hovering in the sky scattered and flew away. A set of movements is so smooth that people can't help but secretly sigh, tiled Douluo, so terrifying. Yu Yuanzhen handed Yu Tianming a knife and said, pierce it into its eyes and kill it. Yu Tianming took the knife without any trace of ink, inserted it straight into the eye socket, stirred it twice, and the golden-winged wind and thunder falcon died with a look of reluctance. Looking at its unwilling gaze, Yu Tianming felt no fluctuation in his heart, as if what he had just killed was not a soul beast with feelings, but a chicken. Yu Yuanzhen nodded. As a soul master, Yu Tianming's psychological quality was already up to standard. Seeing a circle of bright yellow soul rings slowly emerging from Fengling Falcon's body, Yu Yuanzhen said, start absorbing the soul rings. Hearing this, Yu Tianming sat on the ground and summoned the martial spirit. A huge shadow appeared behind him, and as the martial spirit possessed the shadow, it entered his body. After being possessed by Wuhan, his figure suddenly grew taller. Dragon horns appeared on his head, 2 dragon tails appeared behind him, a pair of huge dragon wings appeared behind his shoulder blades, and the sides of his neck looked like Fengxia Ocean. 2 dragon heads appeared, providing Yu Tianming with additional vision. The 2 additional dragon heads that are born can enter the virtual state at any time and extend to several meters in length to attack the enemy. His shape is similar to Neza's 3 heads and 6 arms. The combination of many animal-like parts does not look strange, but is surprisingly coordinated. After being possessed by the martial spirit, Yu Tianming used his soul power to draw the soul ring to himself according to what he had learned. As the soul ring gradually approached, Yu Yuanzhen's deep voice came to his ears, I will guard the martial soul and stay awake. Hearing this, Yu Tianming focused his attention on the martial soul. As the soul ring approached, he felt a pressure he had never experienced before, like being on a plateau, making him breathless. Soon the yellow soul ring came to the top of Yu Tianming's head, without giving him any chance to react. The yellow soul ring fell instantly and turned into a transparent golden ring that was constantly floating under his feet. At this moment, Yu Tianming only felt a scorching heat rushing in. In an instant, everything inside was burning, and his body couldn't help but tremble. The next second, Yu Tianming closed his eyes, and his consciousness was completely immersed in the hot soul power in his body. The power of the soul ring had been completely released at this time, and this power was constantly washing away his body and spirit. After a long time, the burning pain began to gradually disappear, leaving only comfort. At the same time, he became more energetic and his body was full of strength. The joy of sublimation of life surged into his heart, making him feel as if he was floating in the clouds. Yu Tianming opened his eyes excitedly, it was already noon. There was silence all around, except for the occasional birdsong in the distance. It seemed that the spirit beasts did not dare to approach Grandpa here. Looking at himself again, Yu Tianming had some changes after absorbing the soul ring. He became taller, his eyesight became better, and his body became lighter. He knew that all aspects of his body's functions had been greatly improved under the influence of the soul ring. Then he happily said to Yu Yuanzhen on the side, Grandpa, I have successfully absorbed the soul ring of the golden-winged wind and thunder falcon. Now my soul power level is level 12, and the soul skills I have obtained are also extremely powerful. Yu Yuanzhen was also happy for him, stroking his beard and said, then you can show it to Grandpa. Hearing this, Yu Tianming unfolded Ghidorah's huge wings. Chapter 5. Yu Tianming spread out his huge wings, soared into the sky, and shouted, the first soul skill, wind and thunder protection. I saw golden electric light emerging from Yu Tianming's body and a cyan breeze surrounding it. The 2 attributes of wind and thunder on the wings were more prominent. After mobilizing his soul power, he flapped his wings lightly, and his whole body shot out like an arrow from a string, quickly circling around the ancient thunder tree. If the first level Yu Tianming is flying in the sky, and the second level agility attack type Su Yun Tao is running to death on the ground, he will not be able to catch up. After flying 2 circles, Yu Tianming landed lightly in front of Yu Yuanzhen and explained, my first soul skill is called wind and thunder protection. The effect is to increase by 50 to 100% depending on the soul power used. I can't hold on to the 100% increase in movement and attack speed. In addition, this soul skill also improves my flying ability. Originally, he didn't know if his wings were used unskilledly, so he could only flap at low altitude like a hen climbing a tree. But after obtaining the soul ring, he could immediately take off on the spot and soar into the sky like a fish swimming into water. Hearing what Yu Tianming said, Yu Yuanzhen was even more satisfied and said, "Yes, the increase is huge. With the ability to fly, you can advance, attack, retreat or defend." In Douluo continent, in addition to titled Douluo who can fly, evil fire phoenixes like Ma Hongjun can only fly with soul skills in the early stage. Yu Tianheng's teammate Yu Feng and Yu Tianxin's teammate Lei Tian are all ordinary intermediate martial arts. The flying speed is definitely not as fast as Yu Tianming's 3 Dragon Kings. Perhaps only Shui Bing'er's Ice Crystal Phoenix and Qian Rongxiu's Seraphim can compete with Yu Tianming. But now that Yu Tianming has the blessing of the first soul skill, his speed is far beyond ordinary, who can compete with him? Now that you can fly, how about flying back to the sect with me? Yu Yuanzhen joked when he saw Yu Tianming's complacent look. Yu Tianming had just been able to fly freely, so naturally he would not refuse. "I don't know the way back to my clan, so Grandpa has to show me the way." Okay, I'll fly in front of you." I saw 2 figures in the sky above the Thunder Forest, one behind the other, slowly flying towards the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. The principle is the same as that of an airplane. When you look at an airplane from the ground, you feel that it is flying very slowly, just because you on the ground do not have the ability to discern the distance in the vast sky. Yu Yuanzhen lowered his speed to take care of Yu Tianming, but he was still faster than the flying birds in the sky. Above the sky, Yu Yuanzhen sent a message to Yu Tianming, "From now on, you will practice with me in the back mountain. I will personally teach you the martial arts knowledge. Why don't you enter the low-level academy first? Wait until you reach level 20 and directly enter the high-level academy to practice." Sample. During the high-speed flight, the strong wind roared past Yu Tianming, and his voice could not reach Yu Yuanzhen's ears, so he could only nod in agreement. 2 hours later, the sun was setting in the west, and the sky was filled with rays of rays. Above the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex sect master's mansion, 2 large figures slowly fell from the sky. One was an old man in blue robes who was more than 2 meters tall with white beard and hair, and the other was 1 meter and 5 meters tall. But a handsome child with huge wings on his back. Yu Tianming staggered as soon as he fell, and almost fell down if it weren't for Yu Yuanzhen holding him back. "You kid can fly back to the sect, you have a lot of soul power. That's natural." Yu Tianming forced a smile. Flying in the sky is as effortless as floating on the water. Birds that fly to high altitudes only flap their wings once in tens of seconds. Yu Tianming only lost power due to maintaining the possession of martial arts and using soul skills. "Have a good rest tonight. I will take you to training tomorrow." After saying that, Yu Yuanzhen called A Shu and Azi to help Yu Tianming away. Yu Tianming was so tired that he felt dizzy and was helped to the bathtub by the 2 of them without realizing it. Before he could open his mouth, Azi on the side explained, "The clan leader specifically ordered that the young master be given a medicinal bath." A Shu also said from the other side, "Young master, please stand still while we undress for young master." Yu Tianming was not shy either. He had never seen anything in his previous life, so he just stretched out his arms and let it go. After all, A Shu and Azi had already realized this. Although their faces were red, they quickly took off their clothes for Yu Tianming, and then helped Yu Tianming sit in the tub. Since he had just come back and was not ready yet, there was only warm water in the bathtub, so A Shu had to possess the fire snake spirit, put his hands into the bathtub and use the fire attribute soul power to heat it up. Yu Tianming, who was extremely tired, slowly closed his eyes in the bathtub and fell asleep until he woke up in his bed the next day. "After waking up, I felt refreshed all over, and my soul power level had also improved a lot." The clan also provided medicinal baths when he went to elementary school, but the quality was far inferior to the quality of this medicinal bath. Maybe this was the difference between the successor and the ordinary direct descendants of the clan. After washing, Yu Tianming went to the study room of the patriarch's house as usual, but what was different from the past was that Yu Luomian was sitting in the main seat reviewing official documents, while Yu Yuanzhen was sitting in the guest seat beside him and drinking tea with a smile. Seeing Yu Tianming's arrival, Yu Yuanzhen put down his cup and said happily, "Tianming, from today on, your second grandfather will be responsible for the affairs of the sect. I am here to accompany you to practice." Yu Luomian, who was immersed in reviewing the sect's affairs, raised his head and glanced at his elder brother, then resumed his hard work without saying a word. Yu Tianming didn't want to get involved in the matter between these 2 old men. He only thought about the cultivation matters that Yu Yuanzhen said yesterday. He wanted to upgrade quickly in order to get the fairy grass as soon as possible, so he asked directly, "Grandpa, when will we start?" "Practice." Yu Yuanzhen stood up without leaving any traces of ink. "That's it now." After saying that, he turned around and went out, soared into the sky, and flew directly to the mountain behind the sect, saying from a distance, "Follow me." Seeing this, Yu Tianming was also possessed by a martial spirit, spread his wings, and hurriedly followed Yu Yuanzhen's footsteps. Looking from afar, on the edge of a stretch of green mountain peaks, a mountain of exposed rocks stands out, looking particularly abrupt among the mountains. Although its appearance is not impressive, the Blue Lightning Overlord sect chose to build the mountain gate here just for this bare mountain peak. Because the rocks all over the mountain are exposed thunder iron veins, the sect calls it Thunder Iron Mountain. Although the name is unremarkable, the mountains of thunder iron ore not only have the effect of attracting thunder and storing electricity, but are also a sacred place for the training of thunder attribute soul beasts. Of course, this is now the perfect mimicry training ground for the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. Looking from the air, you can see that there is a soul master sitting cross-legged on this mountain 100 meters away, practicing soul power. According to a rough estimate, there are more than 1,800 soul masters in the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, and there are actually 200 to 300 practicing here. Near these soul masters, one or several smooth iron rods several meters high were erected, and from time to time thunder would strike down on the iron rods. It seems that the existence of the iron rod is to prevent low-level soul masters from being directly struck by lightning caused by thunder iron ore. Because senior soul masters mostly practice on the top of the mountain, these iron bars are few on the top and more on the surrounding sides. They look like they have Mediterranean hairstyles. Yu Yuanzhen explained to Yu Tianming, "This is the sect's mimicry training ground. Practicing here can increase the training speed of thunder attribute soul masters. Because it is more dangerous, the sect has restricted the level of soul masters who can come here to practice. Training here, the minimum soul power level of the soul masters here has reached level 30 or above. The soul masters here are the backbone of the sect." When approaching the mountain, Yu Yuanzhen used his soul power to wrap around Yu Tianming and told him, "Your soul power level is too low. If you go up the mountain by yourself, you can only walk, otherwise you will definitely die if you are struck by lightning." After that, he summoned his soul power and took Yu Tianming to fly quickly to the top of the mountain. At the highest point of the mountain top, the blue iron ore is even more blue than grey. As long as the grey stone skin is removed, there is a large piece of pure thunder iron without smelting. If in the era of the prosperity of soul guidance devices, relying on this mineral vein, the Blue Lightning Overlord sect could even compete with the Kaibao glazed sect for the title of the richest sect in the world. There were elders from the sect near the top of the mountain, and they saw the two arriving from a distance. Although they were hundreds of meters apart, they all stood up and saluted, "I have met the sect master, I have met the young sect master." Yu Yuanzhen waved his hands to the elders, "Sit down and practice." Then he lifted Yu Tianming down to a blue boulder in the center of the mountain top and said, "Just sit down and practice." After hearing this, Yu Tianming sat down cross-legged directly. Chapter 6. As soon as Yu Tianming sat down, he sensed that the boulder under him had already been fully charged by the continuous strikes of thunder, and the ore in the entire mountain was connected in series to form a huge battery. When he practices, he will be slightly connected to the electricity in the mountains at his feet. If he were an ordinary blue electric Tyrannosaurus Dragon Soul Master of 10 levels, even if his electrical resistance was maxed out, he would not be able to hold on for long before his whole body would be numb. But Ghidorah himself has the talent to absorb electricity to enhance himself, and he will only be like a fish in water in this environment. And with the blessing of the mimetic environment, Yu Tianming felt that his cultivation speed had increased by at least 15%. I saw tiny golden lightning flashes coming out of Yu Tianming's body from time to time, but they were not affected by the thunder iron veins at all. Yu Yuanzhen secretly thought, "It seems that the three-headed Dragon King is a step further than the blue electric Tyrannosaur, and is indeed the ultimate thunder attribute martial spirit. The ultimate martial spirit is quite rare in Douluo continent, and it requires more soul power to upgrade than an ordinary martial spirit. However, each ultimate martial spirit has far greater strength than ordinary martial spirits, just like Ma Hongjun's evolved Fire Phoenix." Yu Yuanzhen had already guessed that Yu Tianming's electrical properties had changed when he saw that the electricity of Yu Tianming's three Dragon Kings was not the same blue as the blue electric Tyrannosaurus, but bright gold, but now he has confirmed that Yu Tianming's martial spirit it is the ultimate thunder martial soul. Otherwise, with his 10-level cultivation level, he would not be able to withstand the paralyzing power of thunder and lightning, which would only slow down his cultivation speed. There are no years in cultivation, no years in the cold or the heat. 2.5 years passed quietly. At the top of Leitai Mountain, on the high platform of Leitai, the soul power in Yu Tianming's body fluctuated, as if he had broken through some kind of bottleneck. He opened his eyes and said to Yu Yuanzhen in front of him, "Grandpa, my soul power has exceeded level 20. Now Yu Tianming is 8.5 years old and his soul power has reached level 20, which is about 1 level stronger than Tang San at the same time." In addition to Tang San's Xiantian Kong, it was also because of his early cultivation speed that it was difficult to widen the gap. Just like in the original work, when Tang San reached level 29, Zhu Zuqing, who had level 7 innate soul power, also reached level 27, and the two of them cultivated at the same speed. However, his biggest advantage was not his training speed, but that he was 5 years older than Tang San and could develop earlier than Tang San and compete for resources. Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen said, "I have been raising your second soul ring for a year, and I am just waiting for you to reach level 20. 2 years ago, Yu Tianming read through the sect's ancient books and chose his second soul ring, the electric rat, a soul beast with a little bit of dragon blood. The ancestors of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect had chosen it hundreds of years ago, but the soul ring obtained from this soul beast would not directly improve the combat effectiveness, so it was gradually abandoned by the sect. Later, electric rats were captured in large numbers by the nobles because of their extremely cute appearance. As a result, the population of this kind of soul beast in the wild became very small, and among the nobles, their bloodlines were severely degraded due to a large number of inbreeding. Therefore, it took the sect a year to purchase a soul beast suitable for Yu Tianming's second soul ring. Yu Tianming said, "I promised Tianxin that I would fight him first. Besides, it's getting late now, so why not absorb the soul ring tomorrow?" After saying goodbye to Yu Yuanzhen, he rushed down the mountain to look for Yu Tianxin. In a family training ground, level 20 Yu Tianming and level 16 Yu Tianxin were fighting. Originally, the first soul skill of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Dragon Soul Master was often the Thunder Dragon Claw, which could be used for long-range attacks, melee combat, and also had a paralysis effect. However, under Yu Tianming's persuasion, Yu Yuanzhen decided to only let the tribesmen with ordinary talents choose the Thunder Dragon Claw, while the talented contra-geniuses chose another soul skill, the armor-breaking Thunder Dragon Claw. This soul skill can ignore the opponent's 30% lightning resistance, increase the strength by 50%, and increase the strength of both arms by 100%. Although it lacks direct attack ability in the early stage, its amplification and dragon transformation in the later stage are even more powerful. Originally, the armor-piercing Thunder Dragon Claws would scatter thunder and lightning on both arms, but after Yu Tianxin worked day and night to tame the thunder and lightning, when he released the soul skill, the lightning would wrap around his hands and forearms like water. Not only did the soul skill consumption decrease, but also more flexible. Although it is not as good as the wind and rain come, clouds cover the sun, dragon travels in the sky and jade thunder that he will create in the future, it can be regarded as an improved soul skill. In the training ground, Yu Tianxin shouted, "Armor-breaking Thunder Dragon Claw," and his hands instantly turned blue and rushed towards Yu Tianming. And Yu Tianming didn't need to dodge at speed, let alone fly up and use elemental breath. He directly competed with him head-on to hone his fighting skills. Although Yu Tianming's strength is not as good as that of Yu Tianxin blessed by soul skills, his attack speed is extremely fast. After being possessed by the martial soul, he can even attack with a dragon head and wings, which temporarily overwhelmed Yu Tianxin and made it difficult to cope with it. However, the thunder and lightning attached to Yu Tianxin's hands can also cause certain damage to Yu Tianming due to his soul skills, and the power is greater than that of Yu Tianming. In close combat, it is difficult to determine the winner between the two. While the fierce battle between Yu Tianming and Yu Tianxin was going on, Yu Tianheng was also watching not far away. Just half a year ago, Yu Tianheng's martial soul awakened, and his innate soul power was level 8.7, which was higher than Yu Tianxin. At the age of 6.5 this year, he had just obtained his first soul ring and was already a level 12 soul master. Although he is 2 years younger than Yu Tianxin, the difference in soul power is only 4 levels, and due to their qualifications, the gap between them will become smaller and smaller, and they are destined to surpass Yu Tianxin. If in a few more decades, they both reach the advanced stage of cultivation, the gap in cultivation may be similar to that of their respective grandfathers. Yu Yuanzhen is the top-titled Douluo, while Yu Luomian is stuck in the Soul Sage for many years and cannot make any progress. Yu Tianheng's talent is not as good as Yu Yuanzhen's, and Yu Tianzhen's talent is better than Yu Luomian's. The final achievements of the two are more likely to be an ordinary titled Douluo and a Soul Douluo. These two pairs of grandfather and grandson seemed to be reincarnated, and their inheritance truly proved that Douluo relied on talent after all. The sun is setting in the west, and the rays are shining brightly. The two fought fiercely for a long time, but there was no winner. No matter how hard you work, can't you compare to the outstanding talent? Yu Tian felt a little disappointed. He knew that Yu Tianming was about to obtain the second soul ring, and Yu Tianheng would gradually close the gap with him. The gap in talent seemed like a chasm, and even if he worked extra hard, he had little effect. Yu Tianming could only console himself with the chicken soup from his previous life. If you work hard, you will gain. If you don't work hard, you will never succeed. I secretly thought in my heart, when I get the second soul ring and obtain the fairy grass of ice and fire eyes, I will never let my brothers who were raised by the same mother disappear into the crowd. Although Yu Tianzhen was disappointed, she was not discouraged. She said to Yu Tianheng, who was watching the battle, "Tianheng, let's have another fight and let me see how well you master your soul skills." As the eldest grandson of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, Yu Tianheng has been given high hopes by the sect since he was a child. Under the training of many elders, his character became much more stable. He walked up to Yu Tianzhen, cupped his fists and said, "You have what you want." Yu Tianming had no intention of watching their duel. He knew that Yu Tianzhen, who had the first mover advantage, was destined to win. Moreover, A Zhu and Azi had already prepared dinner at this time, and Yu Tianming, who was extremely hungry, just wanted to go home and eat. When he got home, more than a dozen dishes had been placed on the table and A Zhu and Azi were waiting for him to come home. Seeing this scene, Yu Tianming couldn't help but feel warm in her heart. She sat down at the table and smiled at the two of them. "Sit down and eat together." A Zhu and Azi also sat down after hearing this, but A Zhu, who usually keeps silent, spoke today, "Young master, I'm already at level 20, what soul ring should I choose?" Yu Tianming was stunned when he heard this. Is he so powerful? At less than 13 years old, she has reached the 4th level of innate soul power and has barely reached the threshold of Shrek. Then he said to her, "I will finish absorbing the second soul ring tomorrow and lead you to get the soul ring myself." A Zhu smiled and said, "I will listen to you, young master." According to the calculation of 2 levels of hunting soul rings, the soul power from the soul rings is eliminated. Hu Lina's innate soul power is level 40 at the age of 15, with an average level increase of 2.6 per year, level 50 at the age of 20, and level 40 to 50, with an average level increase of 1.6 per year. Calculation shows that it takes Hu Lina 2 years to reach level 10 to 20, and she reaches 4 levels per year. Book friends who are good at mathematics can do the math. Tang San reached level 29 at the age of 12, averaging 2.5 levels per year. Calculation shows that it took Tang San 3 years to reach levels 10 to 20. It takes 2.5 years for the protagonist to reach level 20. This is not only a joke, but also an average of 2 innate soul powers. Hu Lina has a soul bone on her body. The protagonist's training speed will speed up later, no leveling up. As for Yu Tianzhen, who is at level 7.5, he has been practicing at level 7.5 for 2.5 years. I took Zhu Zuking's level as a reference. At this time, book friends will ask, why doesn't this lower the protagonist's level? Well, the data looks like this. Zhu Zuking's innate soul power is level 7, 12 years old and 27. Although she works harder, her weakest talent is the same as Tang San, who is the fastest in Shrek's training. Xia Yu's innate soul power is level 9 at the age of 16 and level 40. Calculated, the gap between her and Hu Lina is about 2 levels. The difference in innate soul power between the protagonist and Yu Tianzhen is 2.5 levels, and the gap between their cultivation levels is 4 levels, which is just right. Perfect fit. This setting of the third young master of the Tang family is explained by the fact that the innate soul power has a small impact on the speed of cultivation in the early stage, but has a greater impact on the final level in the later stage. Chapter 7. Early the next morning, Yu Tianming and Yu Yuanzhen came to a secret room in the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. I saw a big yellow-skinned rat as tall as an adult's calf, with its neck and limbs locked by chains. This is the second soul ring that Yu Tianming has been waiting for a long time, the electric rat, a rare rat soul beast with a little bit of dragon blood. This electric mouse is sleek, fat and strong. It is obvious that it was well raised by the Blue Electric Overlord clan. The chain that binds it is made of thunder iron ore, with its tail end connected to the ground. This makes it unable to release powerful electrical attacks at all. It is no different from a real big mouse. A few soul warriors can keep a close eye on this chain. A soul beast that is only nearly 900 years old. The electric mouse, which has been raised for a year, is not afraid of visitors and continues to eat the grains in the trough calmly, completely unaware that its life is about to end. Yu Yuanzhen raised his hand and used the first soul skill inherited from the Yu family, Thunder Dragon Claw. A blue electric light flashed, and the electric mouse that was eating kicked its legs and started twitching on the ground. The fixed soul ring configuration of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus is very reasonable to a certain extent. For example, the first soul skill, the Thunder Dragon Claw, can not only turn the soul power into a blue-purple Thunder Dragon Claw and shoot it at the opponent, but also can attach to the arm for melee attacks. It also has a paralysis effect. A soul skill includes long range, melee, and control. Compared to Blue Silver Coil, it is simply a magical skill. Yu Yuanzhen kicked the electric mouse's twitching body and said with a smile, "Look at this big mouse's shiny and smooth fur. It took a lot of effort to raise him this year. It has slightly exceeded the maximum age of the second soul ring. You have to be careful when absorbing it." "I got it, Grandpa." Yu Tianming took out the dagger from the storage soul guide, expertly stabbed it into the electric mouse's small eye, and turned it around a few times. After a few seconds, the electric mouse stopped twitching, and a yellow soul ring slowly appeared on its body. With the experience of absorbing the soul ring last time, he sat down cross-legged skillfully, possessed the martial soul, and used the soul power to pull the soul ring towards him. The reason why Yu Tianming chose it as his second soul ring was because dozens of ancestors of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect had stably acquired a special soul skill from this soul beast, the electromagnetic field, whose name was field, but not really a field. The effect of the soul skill is a range of perception with a diameter of several kilometers, similar to electromagnetic induction, and it can increase the perception ability several times within a few meters around oneself. The Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family embarked on the path of pursuing ultimate lethality, and the dragon bloodline of the electric rat was not as good as the sub-dragon soul beast, so the electric rat was abandoned. But if Yu Tianming wants to develop in all aspects while having sufficient attack power, he must ensure that the configuration of the first few soul rings can cover his own shortcomings. All martial arts in the world are invincible, except speed. The first soul skill guarantees one's speed advantage, allowing one to advance and retreat. The second soul skill is similar to electromagnetic induction, which can both search for enemies and prevent sneak attacks. He knew how outrageous Tang San's hidden weapons were. The strongest combat power in this fantasy floor world could be seriously injured and killed by the equipment in the martial arts world. In order to prevent himself from following in the footsteps of Qian Rongxiu, he must keep a guard against Tang San. 2 hours later, Yu Tianming opened his eyes happily. At this time, he was already a level 22 Great Soul Master. I wonder if it was because his martial soul was Ghidorah, but the effect of this soul ring was even greater than he expected. Outstanding! The effect of this electric mouse's soul ring is that when Yu Tianming does not activate the soul ring, he can sense 100 meters around him. When he activates the second soul skill, the scene within a few miles behind him will directly appear in his mind. This is a sensory experience that is different from vision. It is as if you have a god's perspective and can observe the surrounding things without blind spots. You can also perceive things that are closer to you clearly, just like an arrows in One Piece. The heart network is average. Yu Tianming couldn't help laughing. After adding the second soul ring, his physical abilities in all aspects have also increased. Now he feels like Superman. If he fights Yu Tianxin again now, Yu Tianxin will never be able to hit him. If you go back to your previous life, you can easily dodge bullets. Seeing how excited Yu Tianming was, Yu Yuanzhen joked, "It seems that I have obtained a good soul skill, why don't you show it to Grandpa? Grandpa, you can try attacking me." Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen bent his index finger with interest, flicked it, and a ball of nearly transparent light blue soul power quickly flew towards Yu Tianming. Yu Tianming closed his eyes at this time and turned slightly sideways, letting the soul power that was supposed to hit his shoulder pass by. Seeing that he could easily dodge, Yu Yuanzhen fired out several more faster spirit power balls. Unexpectedly, Yu Tianming swayed left and right through the perception of his second soul skill, and evaded all the soul power groups like bullet time. As the spirit power ball popped up faster and faster, Yu Tianming's reaction gradually failed to keep up with his perception, and he was hit by the soul power ball. He also had a few purple bruises on his body. Seeing this, Yu Yuanzhen put away his hands and applauded with satisfaction. Yes, with your speed and reaction, I'm afraid only a third ring soul master can hurt you. Coupled with your flying ability, you can take advantage of a fourth ring soul master when he's not prepared. It's also easy to escape. Thanks to the electric mouse that Grandpa carefully selected for me. Instead of being obedient, you boy, it's better to improve your strength. Even so, Yu Yuanzhen couldn't stop the smile on his face. People said that they were related by another generation. Although he was the head of a sect and was usually majestic and upright, he was also very affectionate and doted on his best grandchildren. I have been practicing hard in the sect for several years, and now I have some ability to protect myself. I want to go to the Stardo Forest to help Aizhu hunt for the second soul ring. Grandpa, do you have any suggestions? Yu Yuanzhen stroked his white beard and said, take your second grandfather with you. He has been handling sect affairs for the past 2 years. While protecting you, give him a holiday. Before he developed, Yu Tianming was naturally happy to have an extra soul saint to protect him when he went out. The Kaibao Glazed sect, which is close to Tiandu city, has good relations with the Tiandu royal family. The Haoshan sect, which is located in the Xingluo Empire, has an ambiguous relationship with the Xingluo royal family. The Blue Lightning Overlord sect is located in the eastern part of the Douluo continent, between the Tiandu Empire and the Star Luo Empire. According to simple geopolitics, the Blue Lightning Overlord sect does not help each other. Stardo Forest is located in the center of Douluo continent, not far from the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Since Yu Luomian, Yu Tianming, and Aizhu were the only ones who could fly, they had no choice but to take a carriage and go there slowly. Unlike the forest where spirit beasts are kept in captivity, where even thousands of years old spirit beasts are difficult to encounter, the Stardo Forest is so large that it is almost the same size as the Balak Kingdom, spanning the borders of the two empires of Tiandu and Xingluo. 2/5 of them are in the Tiandu Empire, and 3/5 are in the Star Luo Empire. Because there is no fire attribute soul beast suitable for Aizhu in the Thunder Forest, and the Stardo Forest is relatively close to each other, he came here to hunt for souls. The three of them chatted while having nothing to do in the carriage. Yu Tianming thought that the Lanba Academy established by Lu Erlong near the Sunset Forest was very close to the Ice and Fire Eyes, so he tentatively asked Yu Luomian. Second Grandpa, I heard that you have a gifted daughter. Chapter 8. As soon as these words came out, Aizhu's attention was also drawn to Yu Luomian and said, why haven't you heard that the great elder has a daughter? Ordinary maids would naturally not be able to get in the conversation, but Aizhu was different. She was a key figure cultivated by the sect, and she was also the young sect leader's maid. Her status is similar to Aizhu next to Mirongfu in the 8 tribes of the dragon, so she can naturally talk to Yu Luomian. But Yu Luomian was already sweating profusely at this time. How could this boy know about the daughter he had with Feng Chen woman? But Yu Luomian is a man in his 70s after all, and he quickly calmed down after a moment of panic. Looking at the probing eyes of the two people, he sighed and said, do you want to ask me why I have a daughter outside? She is very talented, why don't I take her back to the sect? Although Yu Tianming already knew the whole story, he still nodded together with Aizhu. Yu Luomian blushed, paused for a moment, and then said quietly, don't think I am still a soul sage at the age of 70. I was already a soul sect when I was just 30. At that time, I was young and frivolous. Apart from practicing, I spent all day in the world, looking for flowers and willows near Tiandu city. At that time, I often interacted with a prostitute named Lu. Then when I traveled back to Tiandu city, I discovered that she had my child. Because I was the second oldest child, I was nicknamed Erlong, and she named the child Erlong after this. As the son of the leader of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, I had a child with a Feng Chen woman. I was afraid that I would lose the prestige of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, so I would not dare to take her back to the sect and let her take her mother's surname and raise her outside for many years. Yu Luomian glanced at Yu Tianming again and said, Lu Erlong has awakened a mutated martial spirit just like you. The thunder and lightning mutated into similar flames, and he still has the blood of the dragon clan. Although he doesn't have the same martial spirit as you. Strong, but not weak. In addition, she is extremely talented and is already a soul emperor before she is 40 years old. In total, he is my most talented child. I originally thought that I would take him back to the sect when she reaches the Soul Emperor, but 2 years ago she sent me a message saying that she was getting married. When I rushed to attend the wedding, who knew that marrying my daughter would actually be the best choice for me? Xiao Gang is such a waste. Yu Luomian didn't think that the relationship between two cousins was against ethics, as many cousins in large sects got married for the inheritance of martial spirits. He just thinks that Yu Xiaogang, a waste with half-level innate soul power, is not worthy of his precious daughter. Mentioning Yu Xiaogang, Yu Luomian clenched her fists and said angrily, "Of course I can't let the two of them get married, but as soon as I brought Long back to the sect, she was about to run away desperately. Looking for Yu Xiaogang, a useless person, so few people in the sect know that I have such a daughter. Yu Xiaogang, a guy who only knows how to talk and talk, actually deceived this old man and his daughter. It is in vain that I treat him badly." Yu Luomian, the second uncle, had been very good to Yu Xiaogang since he was a child. Even when the whole sect looked down on Yu Xiaogang, Yu Luomian was still one of the closest people to him. Said by Yu Xiaogang himself in chapter 229 of the original work. Yu Luomian, who became more and more angry as he thought about it, said angrily, "I don't know where this Yu Xiaogang has gone. If he dares to let me touch him again, I will skin him." Seeing how angry Yu Luomian was, Yu Tianming did not dare to tell him that Yu Xiaogang was in Nodding City. It wasn't that he was afraid that Yu Xiaogang would be skinned, but that Tang San wouldn't be able to meet Yu Xiaogang, a deceitful teacher who would give him an animal soul ring. When Yu Luomian's clenched fists loosened, Yu Tianming asked, "Our Blue Lightning Overlord Zhongzhang lacks a backbone. How about I go talk to Grandpa about bringing Aunt Lu Erlong back to the sect? Eldest brother may not agree. After all, Erlong has a bad background and is not a blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex spirit." Yu Luomian seemed a little hesitant. "It doesn't matter. I'll go and persuade the uncle. My aunt has a high level of cultivation, so he will definitely agree." Yu Luomian added, "Most of the disciples of our Blue Lightning Overlord Dragon Sect go to Thunder College to study. I just funded Erlong to found a college called Lanba Academy. In the future, it can be directly under the jurisdiction of our Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Now the college has just been established and she can't leave." Yu Tianming finally figured it out this time. Yu Luomian, an old boy, was unwilling to expose Lu Erlong from the bottom of his heart. "But I also plan to see what Lu Erlong looks like, and by the way, look for the ice and fire eyes near Tiandu City." So he continued, "It's a sword to raise or shrink your head. Sooner or later, we have to recognize each other. It's better to cut the knot quickly and solve the problem now. After recognizing our relatives, we can also run the academy. Not many people know that you still have such a daughter. When the time comes, it would be shameful for you to believe it if the story spreads." Hearing this, Yu Luomian was silent for a moment and said, "Now I don't know if Erlong is willing to go back with me." With these words, Yu Tianming felt reassured and said with relief, "When the time comes, I will take my uncle with me to persuade my aunt. If she doesn't want to, we won't force her." Seeing this, Yu Luomian nodded sadly, and then the carriage fell into a long silence. The three of them drove for several days and finally approached the Star Do forest. Yu Luomian saw that it was getting late and there was a small town ahead, so he informed everyone to rest. Entering the town, Yu Tianming found that it was much more lively than expected. The town was about the same size as a small city, and the streets were lined with shops of all kinds. If you observe carefully, you will find that the main business scope of the shops here are mostly related to soul masters. For example, some sell weapons, armors, detoxification and recovery potions, and even clothes sell some with more than a dozen pockets. It contains a lot of miscellaneous items and is a special outfit suitable for soul masters to take on adventures. I couldn't help but sigh. I'm afraid this is the saying that you can eat mountains by relying on mountains, and you can eat water by water. This town obviously depends on the Star Do forest for its survival. There are probably not a few towns like this around the Star Do forest. A Zhu said with some surprise, "But, this place is still nearly 100 kilometers away from the Star Forest. Is it too far?" Yu Luomian explained to the two of them, "You two have only been to forests where spirit beasts are kept in captivity. Those spirit beasts in captivity have relatively gentle temperaments and do not attack humans easily. Wild spirit beasts such as the Star Do forest are different. Not only are the spirit beasts much more ferocious, but some of the surrounding spirit beasts will even go out of the forest. If the town is too close to the Star Forest, it will be easily affected by the beast tide, which is very dangerous. Yu Tianming smiled and nodded, secretly thinking that reading thousands of books is not as good as traveling thousands of miles. After staying in the sect for nearly 10 years, it is time to go out for a walk. Not only can he see different scenery, but he can also learn a lot of useful things. At this time, Yu Luomian pointed to a nice-looking hotel in the center of the town and said, "Let's stay here. Have a rest for one night and set off again early tomorrow morning." According to the timeline of this article, Yu Xiaogang went to Wuhan Hall to hook up with Bibi Dong when he was in his 20s. When he was nearly 30 years old, he was kicked out of Wuhan Hall and met Lu Erlong and Flanders. At this time, the protagonist Jian Rongxue was born. After that, Yu Xiaogang would occasionally return to the sect to accompany Yu Tianheng. When the protagonist was over 6 years old and Yu Xiaogang was in his 30s, his marriage to Lu Erlong ended without any problems. The frustrated Yu Xiaogang ran to Notting City and began not to return to the sect. Lu Erlong founded Lanzhou with the support of Yu Luomian. Dominate the Academy. Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex Academy. Yu Xiaogang met 6-year-old Tang San when he was 40, and met Lu Erlong again when Tang San was 14 or 5 years old. At this time, Lu Erlong was nearly 50 years old and was a level 75 soul saint. She had become a soul emperor 10 years ago at around the age of 40. She was much less talented than the original Qin Ming, who was 34 years old and level 62 soul emperor. Chapter 9. A Night of Silence. In the early morning of the next day, as soon as a flash of white fish belly appeared on the horizon, the three of them got up at the same time. Rush to the Star Forest at this time. If you are lucky, you can get the soul ring that day without spending the night in the forest. After leaving the town, they were already very close to the Star Do Forest, and the three of them began to speed forward. Yu Luomian and Aizhu rode the horses they bought from the town, while Yu Tianming spread his wings and flew at low altitude above the two of them. If he flies too high and is attacked by a high-level flying soul beast, Yu Luomian will not be able to rescue him in time. Yu Tianming could see a green ocean from a high place. The endless green looked so shocking. Finally, they came to the Star Forest. The tall trees here were at least more than 20 meters tall. This was only the outermost part. There were no paths in the dense forest, and the trees were full of shadows, making it impossible to see the real scene. No one can tell how many years the Star Forest has existed in the Douluo continent, but after walking into the forest, the denseness that blocks the sky and the sun is enough to tell people how long it has existed. Yu Tianming fell to the ground, and Aizhu and Yu Luomian also drove away their horses. They could only walk into the forest. Horses can only be ridden when entering the forest. If they are tied to the edge of the forest, the immobile horses will be preyed on by ferocious spirit beasts before they finish hunting the spirit rings. Here the air becomes more comfortable and the temperature drops a few points. This reminded Yu Tianming of the heat island effect he learned in his previous life at university. Arriving in front of the forest, Yu Luomian, who had always been kind, said seriously to the two of them, "Here you may face thousands or even 10,000 years of soul beast attacks at any time. You must walk within 10 meters of me." "I understand." "Understood." ×2. Yu Luomian took the lead, followed closely by the two of them. Yu Tianming even used his second soul skill to survey the surrounding situation and find a suitable soul beast for Aizhu. The terrain in the Star Do forest is very complex, with thorns everywhere, and there are no roads to rely on. However, dark blue arcs of electricity appear from time to time around Yu Luomian at the front. Although this arc is not bright, it can instantly burn the surrounding thorns and weeds to ashes, allowing the two people behind them to not slow down at all. Yu Tianming asked doubtfully, "Why didn't second grandpa use his soul skills to disturb the surrounding soul beasts? Could it be that there is some way to control his own aura?" Hearing this, Yu Luomian turned around and smiled, "I don't have any method to control the soul power aura, just because the effect of my sixth soul skill is to release the silent thunder of darkness, which is hard to guard against." He also explained, in the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, only the first few soul rings have fixed soul skills. As for the subsequent soul rings, you can choose whichever dragon soul beast you can find. Therefore, the Blue Lightning Overlord Dragon Soul Master usually only has the first few soul rings. The 4 soul skills are the same. Yu Tian nodded clearly. Dragon soul beasts are rare and hard to find, and the sect will not keep high-level soul beasts in captivity. When you reach a high level, it will be great if you can meet a suitable dragon soul beast. There is no fixed combination of soul skills. Everyone walked forward for 2 hours, but still did not encounter a suitable soul beast, and Yu Tianming's second soul ring did not sense a soul beast that satisfied him. At this time, you can see through the heavy green leaves that the sun is already high above your head. Douluo Mian then released an electric arc to clear away the weeds within a few feet, and said to the two of them, everyone should rest for an hour and continue searching in the afternoon. After hearing this, everyone sat down on the ground and took out water and dry food to eat. Although this place was still on the outskirts of the Star Forest, there were many soul beasts that were nearly 1,000 years old, which corresponded to the 700 to 800-year-old soul ring that Aizhu needed. As long as you wander around the outskirts of the Star Do Forest in the afternoon, you can quickly find a suitable soul beast. After eating, Yu Tianming had just activated his second soul skill to investigate, when he found a small snake with a single horn crawling forward at the edge of the southern perception range. So he quickly said to Yu Luomian, "Second grandpa, hurry to the south. I sensed a soul beast suitable for Aizhu, and it will soon be out of my range of perception." Hearing this, Yu Luomian turned on the electric arc all over his body and ran towards the south. The two people behind him also trotted all the way, for fear of losing the soul beast. In just a moment, everyone arrived dozens of meters away from the soul beast. They saw that the little snake was as red as blood and had a small horn on its head. It was about 80 centimeters long. It was a soul-eating snake. Red snake. It is recorded in the classics of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect that this kind of snake can spit out soul-eating flames and continue to hurt people's souls. Moreover, this kind of snake is 10 centimeters when it is born, and grows 1 centimeter every 10 years of cultivation. This length of more than 80 centimeters corresponds to the soul ring of more than 700 years, and the single horn on its head is from its dragon bloodline. Prove. It is simply tailor-made for Aizhu. Seeing this, Yu Luomian stretched out his right hand, and released the first soul skill passed down from his ancestors, Thunder Dragon Claw, towards the alert red soul-eating snake from a distance. After a flash of thunder, the little snake that was originally circling and erecting its head came over him. The soul saint's body instantly straightened up under the attack, and he was obviously in a state of paralysis. Yu Tianming pushed Aizhu and signaled her to kill the snake quickly. Aizhu didn't do any ink, so he took out his dagger and stabbed his eyes. A circle of yellow soul rings slowly emerged, and Aizhu's martial soul possessed him. Like Duguyan, he put his legs together and turned into a snake's tail. He curled up into a ball around his body and began to absorb the soul ring. Just as Aizhu was absorbing the soul ring, Yu Luomian walked to her side and picked up the soul-eating red snake. He used his blue soul power to shake, and the flesh and blood on the snake fell aside like raindrops, leaving only a spine glowing red. He casually threw the spine to Yu Tianming and said, "With luck, I discovered an incomplete torso bone that was 700 years old. I will deal with this soul bone for you, but don't absorb it. There will be better soul bones in the future. With you. I'm going to leave this soul bone to Aizhu. The soul bone of the soul-eating red snake paired with a soul ring will be more effective." Yu Tianming naturally looked down on this soul bone, but Aizhu was not very talented and needed it very much. This soul bone. Yu Luomian nodded and said, "This girl has worked hard, and with this soul bone, she will be a soul emperor in the future." With Aizhu's talent of level 4 innate soul power, he could only cultivate to level 50 soul king. Now that I have this soul bone and practice diligently, I will indeed be able to glimpse the threshold of level 60 in my lifetime. 2 hours later, Aizhu opened his eyes. At this time, the sun has already set in the west, giving the sky a bit of glow. Yu Tianming threw the soul bone into Aizhu's arms and said, "This is the soul bone dropped by the soul-eating red snake. Now before it is night, let's get out of the Star Do forest first." Aizhu, who was originally cheerful, lowered his head and murmured, "Thank you, young master." Following the straight road opened in the morning, the three of them walked out of the Star Forest in less than an hour. Arriving outside the Star Forest, Yu Tianming said to Yu Luomian, "Second grandpa, why don't I take Aizhu Fei with you and you run away with the Soul Saint's cultivation? We can return to the town early and have dinner." Yu Luomian smiled and joked, "Don't let Aizhu fall off, then." Yu Tianming didn't say much, picked up Aizhu and flew towards the town. Under the setting sun, Aizhu's face was also stained with a glow. Chapter 10. Naturally, the speed of the Soul Master was not comparable to that of horses. Within a moment, the three of them returned to the town. At this time, the sky was still full of red clouds, and the town was very noisy with people coming and going. After passing through the noisy streets, everyone arrived at the hotel where they stayed in the morning. They opened 3 private rooms and asked the waiter to serve a table of delicious food in the private room. While they were drinking wine, Yu Tianming said to Aizhu, although the soul bone of the soul-eating red snake is not in good condition, don't dislike it. Absorbing it will greatly improve you. Aizhu, who has been with her for several years and has become well versed in human relations, was a little silent at this moment. He lowered his head and said, the soul bone is the treasure of the blood river. Aizhu is not talented. It is a blessing to be rewarded by the young master. How can he be dissatisfied? When you get back to the room at night, absorb the soul bones to avoid long nights and lots of dreams. Yu Tianming instructed. Aizhu hummed and stopped talking. Yu Luomian, who was sitting aside, smacked his lips, smiled and said nothing, then lowered his head and started eating. The nearly 2-meter-tall old man had a huge appetite, and 80% of the food on the table would go into his stomach. Early the next morning, everyone got on the carriage and headed back home. In the carriage, Yu Tianming asked curiously, Aizhu, what soul skills have you obtained? Back to young master, the soul skill I got yesterday afternoon was the soul-eating demon fire, which is an amplifying soul skill. After activation, the soul power will be increased by 50%, and the flame will become thicker and can continue to burn. Burn the other person's spirit. Yu Tianming nodded. Although her second soul skill only had the same 50% increase as Dai Muebai's first soul skill White Tiger Protective Barrier, the flame that can burn the opponent's spirit is still very useful. The soul skill I got at night is the Immortal Red Flame. Its effect is to passively enhance the power of fire by 20%. In addition, it can consume soul power to keep the flames burning after leaving the body. It also allowed me to reach level 24. When he was out, even though the coachman was just an ordinary person, Aizhu tried not to mention the word soul bone to avoid leaking the news and causing trouble. Hearing this, Yu Luomian, who was bored looking at the scenery outside the window, his eyes lit up, and he turned around and said, these 2 soul skills are only average individually, but they are incomprehensible when combined. The soul-eating red snake is really a perfect fit. Zhua. Yu Tianming also smiled and joked, Aizhu already has level 24 soul power before he is 14 years old. He is considered a genius anywhere. Although he only upgraded from level 20 because of obtaining soul rings and soul bones. By level 24, it is already close to Zhu Zuqing. Hearing the compliments from the 2 people, Aizhu was not too happy. Instead, he said with some sadness, although my soul power level is not low now, with my qualifications, I will soon be unable to keep up with the young master's footsteps. Yu Luomian, who had been trapped in the Soul Saint for decades, was deeply touched by this and said with relief, having soul power already surpasses countless people. If we continue to dream of better talents, aren't we greedy? He was comforting Aizhu, and he was also trying to explain to himself, his eldest brother had already become famous all over the world at level 95, but he was stuck at level 79 for many years. Although he relied on Yu Yuanzhen's reputation and easygoing personality to securely become the second head of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. But who knew that Yu Luomian was as bad-tempered and high-spirited as his daughter Lu Erlong back then? Only he himself knows the pain of so many years. Seeing a little sadness on the faces of the old and the young, Yu Tianming changed the subject and said, Aizhu is a fire attribute martial spirit and cannot join the Thunder Academy. He just happened to join the Blue Academy just founded by Aunt Lu Erlong in Tiandu City. BA Academy. 5 years later, when Aizhu is 17, he will be able to represent Lan BA Academy in the Academy's first Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy fighting competition. If it can get a good ranking, Lanba College run by Erlong can be regarded as one of the best civilian colleges. Yu Luomian said with a smile. Yu Tianming also joked, in this way, our Aizhu can be regarded as famous all over the world. Seeing this, Aizhu said, I don't want to participate in any Soul Master competition. I just want to serve the young master. Upon hearing this, Yu Luomian persuaded again, the Soul Master competition allows you to see geniuses from all over the world. After becoming famous, you can get more resources, which can help you go further. Although the current Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Fighting Competition does not provide soul bones as rewards, there will definitely be no shortage of training resources after getting ranked. Yu Tianming, who was anxious to find the fairy grass, also said, it's settled. Aizhu will participate in the Soul Master competition 5 years later. When I return to the sect, I will go to Tiandu city with my uncle to find Aunt Erlong. If you have something to say, it's long, if you don't have anything to say, it's short. When Yu Tianming returned to the sect, he went straight to Yu Yuanzhen's study. When he saw Yu Yuanzhen who was reviewing the sect affairs, he said, "Grandpa, I heard that the second grandfather opened a high-level Soul Master Academy for his daughter in Tiandu city. It just so happened that Tiandu city was about to hold a Soul Master competition. How about we, grandson and grandson, go to Tiandu city? Not only can we persuade our aunt to return to the sect, but we can also see the strength of the top geniuses of the current generation, and we can also recruit talents for our Blue Lightning Overlord sect. It's like killing 3 birds with 1 stone. The Douluo Continent's All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Fighting Competition is held every 5 years, and now is the time to hold it. As for the Soul Master competition that Tang San would not participate in until the next one, he took the fairy grass before Tang San left the novice village to avoid any mishaps. It's not that Yu Tianming didn't consider reporting Tang Hao to Wuhan Palace while Tang San was still young. But Bibi Dong, who is now in charge of the Wuhan Palace, is not in his right mind. I wonder if he will pay attention to Tang Hao. Moreover, Tang Hao is not weak. If he wants revenge, his 95-level grandfather may not be able to defeat him. Yu Yuanzhen raised his head and said with a smile, "You have to go out again just after returning to the sect. You can't relax in your training, but I'd like to take you to see the strength of the top geniuses in the mainland." Seeing that he agreed so readily, Yu Tianming asked again, "When will Grandpa prepare to set off?" Yu Yuanzhen thought for a moment and said, "We'll go in 3 months. The qualifying rounds for the soul fighting competition haven't started yet. Let's go there when the promotion rounds are about to start. Let's see if there are any talents suitable for the Blue Lightning Overlord sect this year, and also meet your second grandfather's daughter by the way. But you must practice hard in the sect during these 3 months. The formats for qualifying and promotion are different. The qualifiers will be conducted in a team battle format, with a single round-robin format. The team with the highest winning points in each preliminary division will advance to the promotion round. Although there are still 7 students participating in the promotion competition, they will compete one by one. The winner stays on the field, and the losing side continues to send students until all the students on one side fail. Therefore, if the qualifiers are a competition that showcases the strength of the team, the promotion round is a stage where individual strength is demonstrated. The reason why there is a promotion competition is to allow the top management of the 2 empires and Wuhan Palace to better recognize some particularly outstanding young soul masters from these participating students. As the leader of the sect, Yu Yuanzhen has many affairs, so naturally he will not watch the game from beginning to end. This article has many female protagonists, a small harem story, not a stud story. The role of the 2 maids is mainly to guide the plot. The first heroine will be guided out by them. Chapter 11. After hearing that he could only go to Tiandu city in 3 months, Yu Tianming was not in a hurry and said to Yu Yuanzhen, "Grandpa, I will go back first." His small courtyard was very close to Yu Yuanzhen's residence, and he returned to his room within a moment. A Zhu and Azi were chatting about something. When Yu Tianming came back, A Zhu said, "Azi is already level 19. This girl is envious of my soul skills and wants the young master to help hunt for soul rings." Azi also took advantage of the situation and sat next to Yu Tianming, leaning her body against him, with a slightly red face, and whispered, "I just don't want to be left too far behind by my sister, so I can always be by your side, young master." Although the intention of Azi's words at this moment is obvious, the maid has no independent personal freedom. She is Yu Tianming's property. Her strength also represents the increase in the value of his property. Yu Tianming thought of the Wuhan city where he was going, pinched Azi's cheek and said, "In 3 months, Tiandu city will hold the promotion competition for the Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Fighting Competition. At that time, you will come with me to see our Blue, the Lanba Academy of the Electronic Overlord sect. If Aza can break through level 20, we will hunt for soul rings in the Sunset Forest next to Tiandu city. If we can't break through, we will make other plans." 3 months passed in a blink of an eye. Blue Lightning Overlord sect, in the martial arts arena. Possessed by A Zhu's martial spirit, he transformed into a half-human, half-snake, with 2 bulges on his forehead, a head of burgundy hair hanging on his chest, a red tail that snaked along the ground, and scales faintly appeared on his skin. She shouted to Yu Tianming who was 10 meters away, "The first soul skill, Flame Blitz." Her whole body turned into a ball of crimson flames and flew towards Yu Tianming at an astonishing speed. The effect of her first soul skill is to turn into flames and fly a short distance. As an evasive soul skill, it does not cause high damage and can be hit by some energy attacks. But combined with the second soul skill and soul bone skill, as long as the flame touches the enemy, it can keep burning on the opponent, which can be called Douluo's little Amaterasu. At the beginning of Aju's start, Yu Tianming sensed the direction in which she was heading, and shouted, "Wind and thunder for protection." He stretched his wings in advance, and was carried by the power of wind and thunder, floating to the side like fallen leaves, with an incredible increase in speed. Flash past her short distance displacement. He didn't fly in this competition, he only honed his skills on the ground. Just as it floated to the side, the dragon head next to Yu Tianming's shoulder charged up thunder and lightning, and at the moment Aju transformed from the flame into human form, it spit out 2 golden thunder balls. Aju seemed to have expected it, and instantly turned into flames and dodged to the side. The reason why he did not dodge towards Yu Tianming was because he would be attacked by the thunder ball. The two of them went back and forth, fighting for a long time with no outcome. A moment later, the flickering Aju once again transformed into a human form from the flames. He held his knees with both hands and panted, "Young master, you have won again." Yu Tianming helped Aju up with a smile and said, "I just spent less soul power and defeated you. When you become a level 70 soul saint, the soul skills below the 7th level have no cooling down and no consumption. The result is really uncertain." Woolen cloth. Aju sighed and said to Yu Tianming, "Young master, you are entertaining me again. If I can become a soul king in this life, I will be satisfied. How dare I hope for a soul saint?" Yu Tianming smiled but did not answer, and said to Ozii beside him, "Come and support Aju, we will set off to Tiandu City later. Every time the promotion competition of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Fighting Competition is held, the Blue Lightning Overlord sect will go to watch it. Unlike the Kaibao Glazed sect who always watches the games in Tiandu City and the Haoshan sect who watches the games in the capital of Star Luo before sealing the mountain, the Blue Lightning Overlord sect takes turns going to the capitals of the 2 empires. This year is the turn to go to the Tiandu Empire. The Blue Lightning Overlord sect has already prepared dozens of luxurious carriages, including one for Yu Tianming, Yu Yuanzhen, and Yu Luomian. Aju, Azi, and several female soul masters are riding together. One car. Behind the convoy were more than a dozen carriages with gifts and many vehicles for servants. As for Yu Tianxin and Yu Tianheng, they were practicing hard in the sect and did not go to watch. When everyone arrived, the carriages began to line up in a long queue and move slowly, like a long and slow train. Tiandu City is the largest and one of the 2 most prosperous cities in Douluo continent. Its 100-meter-high city walls are all repaired from the hardest granite. Looking from a distance, the flags on the top of the city are waving, the carriages under the city, and the pedestrians seem to be 2 groups of ants entering in an orderly manner from the side door. The closed main gate of Tiandu City is dozens of meters high and wide enough for 6 riders to ride side by side. There are 2 auxiliary gates next to it, each with a height of 5 meters and a width of 5 meters. Passers-by enter through the auxiliary gates. The soldiers on patrol were all wearing full armor and holding spears. They had already received the signal and slowly opened the main gate before the Blue Lightning Overlord sect's convoy arrived. At this moment, 2 groups of soldiers were maintaining order at the main gate and waiting for the convoy to arrive. When the convoy was preparing to enter the city, Yu Yuanzhen saw a huge announcement on the bulletin board next to the city gate. Recruitment. Due to its own expansion, Lanba Advanced Soul Master Academy is now recruiting the following personnel: 10 soul sects above level 40. Those with higher soul power will be given priority. Once hired, they will receive preferential treatment. This notice covers the entire bulletin board. It obviously costs a lot to put up such a huge notice when there are a lot of people in the Soul Master competition. Seeing this, Yu Luomian chuckled and said to Yu Yuanzhen, "This is the academy run by my daughter. Like Wuhan Palace, it only recruits civilians. It will also be a big help when it develops." Although the Blue Lightning Overlord sect is not as rich as the Kaibao Glazed sect, it is still a big business. Yu Yuanzhen could not deny this, and only said, "Then we have to take a good look at how this academy is doing." After the convoy entered the city, they did not go to Lanba Academy. Instead, they went straight to the Tiandu City Palace. Before entering the Tiandu Palace, a man wearing a gorgeous red and yellow robe, holding a scepter and wearing a crown came to greet Yu Yuanzhen. Needless to say, this was Emperor Shuiyat. When Yu Yuanzhen saw his appearance of the Duke of Zhou vomiting his breasts, he hurriedly took a few steps forward, held Shui Yi's hand and said, "How can I trouble your majesty to greet him personally when I come here? When Thunder Crown comes, Tiandu is also shining brightly. How can Shui Ye not greet him personally?" Shui Ye looked at Yu Tianming next to Yu Yuanzhen and said, "My little friend must be the Kailanzi of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. In time, he will become a super Douluo. My son Shui King he happens to be the same age as you, so I can let King he take you around the Tiandu Palace." Yu Yuanzhen also smiled and said, "Tianming and King he must get along well." When a gentle boy next to him heard this, he enthusiastically grabbed Yu Tianming and said, "Brother Xian, let me take you around the Tiandu Palace." Yu Tianming didn't know whether it was Qian Rongxiu or Shui King he. He only knew that Shui King he was replaced when he was 9 years old. Even if he was not dead now, he would not live for a few days. Seeing how enthusiastic he was, Yu Tianming also enthusiastically took Shui King he's arm and said, "This is my first time here. Brother, I want to take me to see the beautiful scenery of Tiandu city." If someone who didn't know the inside story met, they would probably think that these two were close brothers. Chapter 12. Shui King he said, "I have long heard that the favored son of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect has a mutated martial soul with innate soul power, and can be said to be invincible at the same level." Yu Tianming's heart skipped a beat, and he didn't know who gave him such a great title. He hurriedly said, "The world is so big and there are so many powerful soul masters. How can I dare to call myself invincible at the same level?" Shui King he smiled and asked, "King he would like to take the liberty to ask how high the soul power of the wise brother Tianming is." Yu Tianming thought that if he were Qian Rongxiu, her innate soul power of level 20 would be at least level 30 now. If she added soul bones, she would be able to reach level 40. So somehow he felt that his smile was meaningful, so he replied, "I am stupid, and now I am only in my early 20s. You only have 20 level soul power at the age of 10. If my good brother is stupid, then my brother is really stupid in the extreme. Brother, as the eldest son of the royal family, why do you need to do things personally? The amount of soul power is just a number." Just as the two of them walked to a garden, the rare soul beasts in the cages surrounded by iron mesh all shouted when they saw Shui King he coming. Shui King he waved, and a luxuriously dressed servant brought a tray filled with washed rare melons and fruits. The servant lowered his head and knelt on one knee, raising the tray with both hands to a height suitable for Shui King he to pick it up, looking extremely respectful. Shui King he picked up the fruits and threw them into an ostrich-like soul beast garden. He looked at Yu Tianming aside and said, "Swans are no match for flying dragons. Without strength, they are destined to be manipulated by others." Seeing this, Yu Tianming also picked up a strawberry-like fruit on the tray. This was already a rare fruit that ordinary people could hardly see. He bit off half of the fruit and threw the remaining half into the garden, saying to Shui King he, "Even if you have strength, you still have to be sent around for mundane things, and true freedom is rare." Hearing this, Shui King he smiled, "My dear brother, I have profound thoughts and will surely lead the Blue Lightning Overlord sect to glory in the future. When the time comes, you and I, brothers, will work together to make Tiandu great again and benefit all living beings." As they walked and talked, the two talked about soul power, family and family to politics. Whenever Shui King he expresses his opinion, Yu Tianming on the side will agree with him. The two of them were like boya meeting Ziki, looking for a close friend in the mountains and rivers. Speaking of rising, I wish I could have made a blood oath like Lu, Guan and Zhang, and become sworn brothers to Jinlan, but it's hard to tell how true and sincere it is. Seeing that it was getting late, Shui King he said, "Tonight, my father specially held a dinner to welcome the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. It's time for us two brothers to go to the banquet. Then please help me lead the way." Under the bright lights of the palace, the two of them walked back together slowly and unhurriedly. When they reached the hall, the banquet had not yet started. Yu Tianming walked through the crowd and saw Shui Yat, Yu Yuanzhen and a handsome and elegant man chatting. That man was about 30 years old, with extremely elegant and steady appearance. He was 8 feet tall. Standing next to Shui Yat, who was nearly 9 feet, and Yu Yuanzhen, who was 10 feet tall, his elegant temperament attracted people's attention even more. It was obvious that this was Ning Fengzi, the #1 auxiliary soul master in the world. 23 Chinese feet. When Shui King he saw Ning Fengzi, he quickly stepped forward and bowed, "Disciple, pay your respects to the teacher." Ning Fengzi said, "King he, there is no need to be polite. The person next to you is the proud son of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Hearing the title of Heaven's proud son again, Yu Tianming was speechless, thinking, he has such a great reputation before he has even developed, and he might be assassinated one day. There were a lot of thoughts in his mind, but he was not slow in his actions. He also followed Shui Qinghe's bow and said, I met Sect Master Ning in the morning. No need to be polite, Lei Mian really has a good grandson. Ning Fengzi took off a ring on his hand and handed it to Yu Tianming and said, this is a small gift from me. From now on, you can call me Uncle Ning. Yu Tianming also hit the snake with the stick and said hurriedly, thank you Uncle Ning. Ning Fengzi pointed sideways to a little girl playing in the arms of a tall old man not far away, and said, I have a daughter who I love very much. I can take care of her as my sister in the morning. Although Ning Rongrong has not yet awakened his martial spirit, Ning Fengzi and the two Douluo doted on him. At this banquet, two dignified Douluo played with a little girl. Seeing this, Emperor Shuiyi hurriedly interjected, I also have a daughter named Shuike. If Tianming likes her, I can make the decision to make an engagement for you now. Shuiyi couldn't guess whether Ning Fengzi, who usually put interests first, had the idea of marrying his most beloved daughter, but he knew that no matter how much his daughter awakened, she would not be able to help the Tiandu royal family. It was better to bring the Blue Lightning Overlord sect to the throne now. On his own chariot. Thunder Academy and Blue Overlord Academy are both within the territory of Tiandu. In fact, the stance of the Blue and Lightning Overlord sect has long been vaguely biased towards the Tiandu Empire. But Yu Yuanzhen didn't want to take sides so blatantly, and hurriedly said, the children are still young now, so it's better to wait until they grow up and let them decide for themselves. Ning Fengzi also helped, I think what Lei Mian said is that we should wait until the children grow up before deciding on these matters. Seeing this, Shuiyi laughed, stroking his beard and said, you two, don't blame me, it was me who was rude. The three of them spoke very harmoniously to each other, and they treated each other as guests and hosts enjoying themselves. But Yu Tianming was not far away, eating the cakes brought by the waiter, rubbing the ring in his hand, extremely excited. It's not that he, the young master of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, has never seen the world, it's that Ning Fengzi's actions were too arrogant. Different from the 12 1 square meter 24 bridges of Bright Moon Night that Yu Xiaogang gave Tang San, this ring looks small and easy to carry, but it also has a full 27 cubic meters of space inside. In addition, there is nearly a gold soul coin code in the corner. A rough estimate is that there are as many as 5 million coins. Ning Fengzi showed him such a trick, and he would not be short of money in the next 20 years. The world's richest man was really terrifying. The elders were chatting at the banquet, but Yu Tianming drank a drink on the side. On the one hand, it was because the nobles around him had little friendship value, and on the other hand, the gift from Ning Fengzi made him so happy that he was as much like a real child as Ning Rongrong. Early the next morning, Yu Tianming was woken up by A Zhu and Azi. Young master, why did you get up so late today? Did you forget to go to Lanba Academy today? A Zhu reminded. Azi laughed and teased from the side, I heard that Emperor Sui wanted to betroth the princess to the young master last night. The young master was so happy that he didn't sleep at night. As maids, the two of them didn't go to the banquet last night, but they didn't know where they got this gossip. Yu Tianming didn't care, and responded casually while dressing, these are just jokes. He wanted to go to Lanba Academy, which he had longed for, and meet his aunt Lu Erlong, who had been famous for a long time but had never met before. Ozai still smiled and said, young master thinks it's a joke, but Emperor Shuiyi doesn't think it's a joke. A Zhu also helped, if the young master and Princess Shuike get married, then our Blue Lightning Overlord sect will also be tied to the Tiandu royal family. Amid the chatter between the two, Yu Tianming got dressed and headed to Lanba Academy. Chapter 13. Yu Yuanzhen, Yu Luomian, Yu Tianming and A Zhu Azi did not take a carriage, but walked to Lanba Academy in a low-key manner. Tiandu city is extremely prosperous. All streets are paved with large blue bricks. Each street is wider than the main road of an ordinary small city. The scale of the entire city can only be described as grand. Under the guidance of the guide Yu Luomian, everyone walked through the streets and alleys, and unknowingly came to a large forest. A large forest suddenly appeared in Tiandu city, which was full of pavilions and palaces. Anyone who saw it would be amazed. Yu Luomian explained to Yu Tianming with some pride, this is the Lanba forest with the largest flora in Tiandu city. It is also the industry of our Blue Lightning Overlord sect, and Lanba Academy is among it. The value of such a large piece of land in the prosperous Tiandu city is immeasurable. Even Ning Fengzi had to think twice about buying such a large piece of land, but was planted on a tree by the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Seeing how proud he was, Yu Tianming couldn't help but curse that in 10 years' time, when Lu Erlong came to power, such a large piece of land would be given to Shrek. But it's not Lu Erlong's fault. After all, among all the women on Douluo continent, from the most powerful pope to the 100,000-year transformed soul beast, who doesn't have some problems in their mind? When I walked to the front of Lanba forest, I saw a gatehouse about the same height as the Tiandu city gate erected in the lush woods. It was carved entirely from white marble and had 8 large gilded characters, Lanba Advanced Soul Master Academy. As soon as we arrived at the entrance of Lanba Academy, a middle-aged man came to the reception desk next to the gate. Xia Yinshu, I am currently a teacher at Lanba Academy. The dean has arranged for me to introduce Lanba Academy to all of you. Everyone followed him into Lanba Academy. The decoration around here is not as luxurious as other colleges, but everything is simple and comfortable. Our Lanba Academy is about 1/3 the size of the Tiandu Royal Academy. Although it is small, the teaching is very rigorous. It only accepts commoners and rejects nobles. We can stagger the enrollment with the Tiandu Royal Academy. Yin Shu explained to several people. Because we only accept civilian soul masters, the quality of the soul masters themselves is inferior to ordinary high-level soul master academies. But it is also because our students are from civilians, they are better than those from big families or noble people practice much harder. Yu Tianming nodded. He knew that in the soul master competition 5 years later, Lanba Academy would eliminate the second team of Tiandu Royal Academy and reach the quarter-finals. A spacious path leads directly to the interior of the college. There are patches of tall trees on both sides of the road, blocking most of the sunlight on the road. Walking to the end under the shade of trees beside the road, you can see a large playground with a diameter of more than 200 meters. Different from the 400-meter playground in the previous life, this playground is about 1,000 meters in one circle. It is more like an open grassland than a playground, because there is no runway on it, only the green-blue-silver grass dancing in the wind. Next to the grassland is a circle of 3-story buildings, with a total floor area of 100,000 square meters, which is quite enough for an advanced Soul Master Academy with few students. Yu Tianming, who was silent at first, suddenly said, "The grassland in the middle looks uncomfortable, why not dig it out and build an artificial lake?" Upon hearing this, Yu Luomian also felt that leaving such a large open space full of blue-silver grass in the middle of the teaching building was not very beautiful, and said, "Spend a little more money to hire a few professional soul masters to change the terrain and fill it with water another day. An artificial lake can be built in a few days." Although there is no industrial revolution in this world, the existence of soul masters has made productivity not low, and in some places it is even worse. Walking to these buildings, Teacher Yinsha began to introduce to everyone which of these 3-story buildings were canteens, which were dormitories, and which were teaching buildings. It was time for get out of class to end, and several 15-year-old students passed by from time to time. Yin Shu added, "Now there are more than 300 students in the college. The facilities of the college are not as good as those of Royal Tiandu College, but it is considered top among civilian colleges, so the enrollment is very smooth. Now because we can't recruit suitable people at the same time, teacher, so we did not continue to recruit students." After walking out of the building of the mimic training ground, everyone came to the college hall next to it. This is in a steeple building, facing the main road of the college. There are no separate rooms in the hall and it is very empty. Light shines into the building from the surrounding windows, making the interior as bright as the outside. The floor is paved with granite stones, and the walls are simply whitewashed without any decoration. After a brief visit, everyone walked around the school hall and walked onto a path leading to the back of the college. Yin Shu explained, "The dean is usually not in the college. She prefers to be quiet and live alone in the forest. Because the college is on track, daily affairs are handled by the teachers. Only major matters need to be consulted by the dean." Continuing a few hundred meters further, the woods gradually became sparse, and a sign hung on a particularly thick banyan tree, with a line of words engraved on it, "This is an important place of the academy. Please do not enter unless you are not allowed to enter." After passing this big tree, the scenery suddenly changes. It was a small lake, with a diameter of only 50 meters. A stream about 3 meters wide quietly poured water into it from the other side of the woods, and then flowed back. This place, which should be regarded as a pool, always maintains living water. Next to the waterhole, there is a simple thatched house made of logs and thatch, completely integrated with the surrounding environment. There is a fence around the hut, and various flowers are planted in the fence, vying to bloom, colorful and beautiful. A woman was standing there, holding a kettle, watering the flowers. Perhaps because she heard the footsteps, she unconsciously looked in the direction where the group of people were walking. When her eyes passed through the sole master of Lanba Academy who was leading the way, and fell on Yu Luomian and Yu Yuanzhen behind, her body suddenly became stiff, her hand loosened, and the kettle fell to the ground with a bang. It was a woman who looked to be less than 30 years old. Pupa had her black hair pulled up on her head, and she was wearing a simple green dress that could not conceal her grace. On her somewhat pale face, she had delicate features and picturesque eyebrows. She seemed to recognize Yu Yuanzhen's identity. She put her hands in front of her and rubbed the corners of her clothes, looking a little nervous and at a loss. Yin Shu also guessed the identities of these two people from the previous exchanges with Yu Yuanzhen and Yu Luomian, so he respectfully said to the woman behind the fence, "Dean, several adults have already arrived, Yin Shu the book will leave first." When Yin Shu left, Yu Luomian was confused. He just wanted to ask his normally generous daughter why she was so strange now. But Lu Erlong ignored her biological father Yu Luomian, walked straight to Yu Yuanzhen, and said shyly, "You are Xiao Gang's father, right? There is a playground in the middle of the Advanced Soul Master Academy that is so low, it looks like a middle school or high school. I changed the playground to a lake, and the style changed from junior high school to university." Chapter 14. I am your uncle. Yu Yuanzhen replied. Hearing this truth, Lu Erlong, who was originally as shy and uneasy as a young girl in love, was stunned. She began to lower her head and murmur in a broken voice, I should have known that we would not be blessed." 2 lines of tears fell from her cheeks to the ground. At this time, Lu Erlong looked like Mrs. Xianglin was alive with her disheveled hair. I don't know what she thought of, but she suddenly raised her head and yelled at Yu Luomian and Yu Yuanzhen, why are you not willing to accept Xiao Gang and me? Is worldly perspective so important?" After saying that, he was possessed by the martial spirit, and blazing flames burst out from his body. He first slapped his thatched house down with a slap, and then reduced the colorful flowers and plants around the house to ashes. It should not be said, but this is Lu Erlong's style. Whether it is massacring the soul beasts in the forest, interfering with Xiao Wu's competition without permission, or even giving away the college directly to the school director Landianba Wangzong behind his back 10 years later, all of the above can be done. It can be seen that this woman is very upset. Seeing Lu Erlong's disgraceful appearance, Yu Yuanzhen exuded the aura of a 95th level titled Douluo without saying a word. The blue electric light covered his hands like running water, and struck down with a classic thunder dragon claw. He originally went crazy. Lu Erlong was instantly freed from his martial soul's possession, straightened his legs, and fell to the ground. Yu Yuanzhen and his second brother Yu Luomian looked at each other, sighed helplessly, and said, I don't object to Xiaogang's marriage to you, but now Xiao Gang has gone somewhere. Naturally, he would not object to his extremely talented niece marrying his son. It was Yu Luomian who despised Yu Xiao Gang, but now that his daughter was on the verge of death, Yu Luomian had no objection and just sighed from the side. After hearing this, Lu Erlong didn't know where he got the strength to break free from the paralysis, tremblingly propped up his upper body, raised his head and asked Yu Yuanzhen, is it true? Real? Lu Erlong, Flanders and Yu Xiao Gang are known as the Golden Triangle, and all of them are very sick. Boss Flanders, Flying Corner. Now Shrek Academy has been opened, which specializes in recruiting geniuses. The tuition fees are high and the equipment is rudimentary. Shrek's teachings are good if they are good at teaching, but they are not good enough because of the students themselves. After being deceived, geniuses could only waste their most precious training time in Shrek Academy. The 34-year-old Soul Emperor Qin Ming was even equipped with a purple 5th soul ring. The second child, Yu Xiao Gang, is the corner of wisdom. He became famous by plagiarizing information from the Spirit Hall and the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, but he was not good at studying and found another way for Tang San to absorb animal soul rings. The first soul ring was the infamous blue-silver coil. In addition, it was suggested that Tang San practice the Clear Sky Hammer after level 60, which also disabled the second martial spirit. If Tang San had not had the opportunity, he would have been disabled in this life. The third oldest, Lu Erlong, the Killing Horn, apart from the slaughter soul beast forest, also has a bad temper, and is considered the least sick among them. Yu Tianming thought to himself, if Lu Erlong and Yu Xiaogang were together in the future, they would avoid harming others, but it was a pity that Flender could not be packed with them. After a while, a group of 6 people left the messy wooden house and came to a living room in the school. At this time, Lu Erlong's mood had calmed down. On the sofa, Yu Yuanzhen said to Lu Erlong, in our Blue Lightning Overlord sect, anyone who is not a biological brother or sister can get married. At first, your father just felt that Xiaogong's martial spirit had deteriorated seriously, and he was worried that you and him would not make it to the end. That's why I stopped you. Lu Erlong heard this and said excitedly, it doesn't matter to me. No matter how talented Xiaogang is, I like her and I am willing to marry him. I will go find him now. After saying that, he got up and went out. Yu Luomian's face was livid, and he grabbed Lu Erlong, what are you looking for? If there is news about him in the sect, we will naturally notify you. After pulling Lu Erlong back, Yu Luomian, who seemed to be afraid that she would run away, said to her again with an ugly expression, if you run away, that loser won't be able to find you when he comes back in the future. Yu Luomian also felt uncomfortable, thinking, is it because of the martial soul fusion skills that made his daughter fall in love with a loser? Seeing that everyone had finally stabilized Lu Erlong's mood, Yu Tianming said, I think we can keep Aizhu and Azi in Lanba Academy to train. If they can win the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Fighting Competition in 5 years' time, if you get the ranking, Lanba Academy will become famous, and your second uncle will know where your aunt is. When Lu Erlong heard this, he looked at the 2 little girls standing behind Yu Tianming. When Aizhu and Azi saw her, they took a step back. It was obvious that they were very afraid of this emotionally unstable Dianpo. Seeing this, Lu Erlong sneered, don't worry, I won't hurt you. Please introduce your soul power level to Auntie. After hearing the introductions of the 2, Lu Erlong frowned and said bluntly, although these 2 little girls have high soul power levels, their talents are too mediocre. In the future, they will not be able to keep up with their strength and will not be able to participate in the Soul Master competition. Seeing her reluctance, Yu Tianming said, Auntie, please accept them first. If they are not suitable to participate in the Soul Master competition, they can become ordinary students. Lu Erlong nodded and agreed to accept the 2 of them. In the following days, Yu Yuanzhen went to watch the promotion match of the Soul Master competition. Yu Tianming and Yu Luomian stayed in Lanba Academy, one to experience the life of a senior Soul Master Academy, and the other to appease Lu Erlong's emotions and provide persuasion. Lanba Academy has several elemental mimicry training grounds such as wind, fire, ice, thunder, etc., all in the same building. This mimicry training building is located next to the college hall. It looks square and windowless on the outside. It is made of energy-isolating stone masonry. The walls are nearly half a meter thick, so that the various energies inside will not affect each other. In the Thunder Element Mimicry Training Ground, Yu Tianming and Aza sat meditating on the ground paved with thunder iron ore. Many thunder attribute gems on the walls brought a faint light to the room. Although this place is not as good as the Thunder Iron Mine in the back mountain of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, and the cultivation speed increases by less than 10%, but there is no extremely high voltage and constant thunder here. Even a 10th level soul warrior can do it here. Practice safely. At this moment, Aza's soul power aura fluctuated around her body. She opened her eyes and said happily to Yu Tianming, young master, I have reached level 20 and can hunt for soul rings. She has been practicing extremely hard for more than 3 months, just to let Yu Tianming hunt for him a favorite soul beast. Yu Tianming on the side was even happier than Ozai. Now he finally had a legitimate reason to go to the ice and fire eyes. He pinched Ozai's cheek and said, now let's go help you hunt for the soul ring. In the principal's room of Lanba College, Yu Luomian was chattering away, while Lu Erlong was lying on the sofa eating fruit nonchalantly. When Yu Tianming saw that the 2 of them were fine, he said to Yu Luomian, Aza's soul power has reached level 20. Second grandpa will accompany me to the Sunset Forest. Let's help her hunt for the soul ring. Any teacher in the academy can hunt for a soul ring that is less than 1,000 years old. Naturally, Yu Luomian will not go out of his way to help Ozai, but he has to follow and protect Tianming, so hunting for soul rings is just a matter of convenience. Lu Erlong, who was lying on the side, stood up and asked for help, let me go over there. Grass is almost growing on my body these days. Seeing that Lu Erlong was going, Yu Luomian hurriedly said, I have to go over and watch you. Chapter 15. Compared to the Sunset Forest and the Douluo Forest, apart from the huge difference in area, there are many differences. Douluo Forest is located in the center of the continent. It is the largest soul beast forest in the center and is covered with dense, moist tropical plants. The Sunset Forest is located in the center of the Tiandu Empire. Although it is not considered a frigid zone, the temperature is much lower than that of the Douluo Forest. This causes the plants here to be more of deciduous trees unique to the north. Although there are still bushes and thorns everywhere, the view is wide and there are many paths trodden by wild animals, making it much easier for everyone to travel in the forest. Because the Sunset Forest is located near the capital of the Tiandu Empire and within the core residential area of mankind. Soul masters from surrounding cities all hunt for soul rings here, so there are not many soul beasts that can cultivate for more than 10,000 years, and the density of soul beasts is also relatively small. If you want to hunt the soul beast of your choice in the Sunset Forest, you need more patience and luck. In the forest, Lu Erlong, who had lived in Tiandu for a long time and was familiar with the environment, was leading the way. Yu Tianming was in the middle using his second soul skill to sense the surrounding soul beasts, and Yu Luomian was at the end looking after everyone's safety. One day passed, and many traces of electric soul beasts were found, but none of them were suitable for Ozai. Have a rest today and look for you tomorrow. Yu Luomian looked at the darkening sky and the tired Yu Tianming, and stopped the advancing people. The ring given by Ning Fengzi could be adjusted to a certain extent like the golden hoop on Sun Wukong's head after inputting soul power. Now it is worn on Yu Tianming's index finger, stuck between the joints, and can only be removed by inputting soul power. Yu Tianming took out the tent that had been prepared and quickly set up a huge tent with the help of everyone. In order to better protect himself in this soul beast forest, Yu Tianming chose a tent that was like a yurt, with a hemispherical shape and made of the skins of several thousand-year-old soul beasts. Not only was it more than enough to accommodate 4 people, but it was also able to accommodate 4 people. It has a deterrent effect on surrounding soul beasts. Lu Erlong, who is in his 30s or 40s, is not as stable as he should be at this age. He looks left and right like a curious little girl. Yu Tianming opened the skylight on the top of the tent and lit a bonfire in the center. This is the Sunset Forest. There are no giant beasts like titans, and it is even more difficult to meet high-level soul masters. Therefore, most of the soul masters who hunt here will raise bonfires to cope with the cold night. The soul beasts in this area are less than 1,000 years old, and everyone can even walk sideways. Under the influence of the air pressure difference, the white smoke flew through the gauze on the top of the tent and flew into the vast night. Tianming, this tent of yours is really nice. It feels like home when you go out. Lu Erlong said enviously. If Aunt likes it, I will make another one and give it to Aunt another day. That's so embarrassing. Although Lu Erlong declined, he smiled like a child who got a gift. Yu Tianming said meaningfully, it's just a tent, not worth much. You must know that 10 years later in Sunset Forest, Lu Erlong squeezed into a tent with Yu Xiaogang, Flanders and Zhao Wuji. She was about to have sex with Yu Xiaogang while 2 people were lying next to her. Even if it was for Flanders and Zhao Wuji, he would make a big tent for her. A few birdsong occasionally came from the night outside the house. Aza set up a pot on the bonfire and cooked food. Several people were drinking wine and chatting away. In this warm atmosphere, Lu Erlong leaned into Yu Luomian's arms like he did in his childhood, and talked about the past. Seeing Lu Erlong's kind side, Yu Tianming also understood why Yu Luomian didn't want to make things happen for her and Yu Xiaogang. She is just crazy, but not bad, and sometimes even a little cute. She really shouldn't be deceived by Yu Xiaogang. After eating, the exhausted Yu Tianming fell asleep in his sleeping bag. Azi also slept beside him because his soul power was low and he didn't need to keep vigil. Lu Erlong and Yu Luomian, father and daughter, kept watch the night before and after respectively to prevent attacks by blind soul beasts. A night of silence. Early the next morning, everyone set off at dawn to continue looking for the soul beast. This time it seemed that something was lucky. Yu Tianming soon discovered a blue crystal dragon lizard that was about 700 years old. This lizard-shaped soul beast has 2 small sharp horns on its head, and its body is covered in crystal-like blue scales. Not only does it have extremely high defense, but it can also store electrical energy to attack enemies. Aza's martial soul thunder eel is a kind of soul beast with a single horn that resembles an electric eel. It can store electric energy to attack enemies, and is very compatible with the blue crystal dragon lizard. After Yu Tianming led everyone to find this soul beast, Yu Luomian fired a thunder dragon claw from more than 10 meters away. This time, the thunder dragon claw, which had been tried all over the world, failed to paralyze the blue crystal dragon lizard. After being attacked, its scales suddenly lit up, and it stretched out its 4 short legs and began to run away. But after all, Yu Luomian is the soul saint. Seeing that it was still able to move, he fired another thunder dragon claw. This time, the blue crystal dragon lizard's scales did not brighten again, but fell straight down. Seeing this, Aza was ready to go and strike. But Yu Tianming shouted, "Don't touch this soul beast yet." The blue crystal dragon lizard's body was fully charged. Even though Ozzy's electrical resistance was good, even the slightest touch at this time would cause paralysis all over the body. Yu Tianming stepped forward, possessed by his martial soul, and bit down the 2 dragon heads on his shoulders towards the blue crystal dragon lizard. As the golden body around Yu Tianming flashed with light, the bright blue scales of the dragon lizard turned grey. Obviously the electricity had been absorbed. "You can kill it now." Hearing this, Ozzy took out a dagger and pierced the eyes of the still paralyzed blue crystal dragon lizard, and a yellow soul ring slowly emerged. The eyes are the weak point of most soul beasts. Usually soul masters who want to kill soul beasts will destroy the brain from the eyes. Possessed by Ozzy's martial soul, she pulled the soul ring to herself, sat on the ground and began to slowly absorb the soul ring. Different from Aju's burgundy hair color, Az's hair is blue-black. After being possessed by the martial spirit, her skin also glows with a faint blue light. Only the horn on her forehead is blue-purple. An hour later, the soul ring was completely absorbed. Ozzy opened her eyes with excitement shining in her eyes. She excitedly ran over to hold Yu Tianming's arm, rested her head on his shoulder and said happily, "Young master, I got a very good soul skill this time. I won't be too far away from my sister in the future." Except for Yu Xiaogang, the direct descendants of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect are all tall. Although Yu Tianming is only 9 years old, he is a head taller than the 13-year-old Ozzy when possessed by a martial spirit. He patted Aza on the shoulder, "Let's go back to the academy now and show me your soul skills another day." It was just noon and everyone would be able to return to Lanba Academy before evening. Although this time I came to Sunset Forest only to move around the Soul Beast area that is close to a century old, I didn't have a chance to see the Ice and Fire Eyes, nor did I find Dugubo's poison array. But Yu Tianming has already made a decision in his heart, and he will come to seize the Ice and Fire Eyes as soon as he returns. Chapter 16. After everyone returned to Lanba Academy, Yu Tianming said to Yu Luomian, "I have something important to report to Grandpa. Can second Grandpa accompany me to find him?" The road from Lanba Academy to Tiandu Arena was not safe. 10 years later, Tang San was kidnapped and killed by teachers from Kanghui Academy on this road. Someone could kill Tang San in order to advance to the Soul Master competition. As the next generation successor of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, wouldn't Yu Tianming be more vulnerable to being killed? Tang San had Yin Jian in front. If someone was robbed or killed on the road, he would not have the King of Hell to deal with it. To be on the safe side, he called Yu Luomian. Hearing this, Yu Luomian was unambiguous and said, "My eldest brother must be watching the Soul Master competition at this time. I will take you to the Tiandu Soul Arena to find him." But a moment later, the two arrived at the Great Soul Fighting Arena in Tiandu City. The two sect masters, Yu Yuanzhen and Ning Fengzi, were in the same VIP box watching the battle between spirit masters in the arena. Sword Douluo did not watch the battle, but sat on the sofa not far away and played with 4-year-old Ning Rongrong. Many years ago, Yu Yuanzhen defeated the 4 old sect masters of the lower 4 sects and the Bone Douluo Gurong of the Kaibao Glazed sect with the help of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus dragon spirit, and tied with the sword Douluo Genexen of the Kaibao Glazed sect. Now that Chen has already broken through the threshold of level 96, and with Ning Fengzi's assistance, Yu Yuanzhen is no longer his opponent. If we find the Ice and Fire Eyes this time, we must help Yu Yuanzhen break through. To prevent yourself from being controlled by others before you develop. The words are divided into 2 parts. After arriving here with Yu Luomian, Yu Tianming first greeted everyone one by one. Seeing this, Yu Yuanzhen smiled and said, "Why did you two want to come here to watch the game today?" Seeing that there were many people around, Yu Tianming winked at Yu Luomian and said with a smile, "I have nothing to do, I want to see the battle between the geniuses of each academy." Ning Fengzi smiled and said, "These soul masters in the field can only be considered as having fair talents. Tianming, you are the real genius. Yu Tianming, who was born with full soul power, was naturally more talented than the following soul masters, but he still said modestly, Uncle Ning, you have to praise me endlessly every time you see me. But let me tell you, there are so many soul masters in the world. There are many people who are more talented than me. At this time, Ning Rongrong, who was more than 3 years old, jumped out and said with her hands on her hips, when I awaken my martial spirit, I will definitely be more talented than you. Under the pampering of the two Douluo, Ning Rongrong was also unceremonious and showed her true nature as a little witch for the first time. Seeing Ning Rongrong's arrogance, Yu Tianming was not angry. After all, she was still a child, and his own grandfather couldn't beat her grandfather. Yu Tianming touched her head and smiled fondly, then Rongrong should eat well and exercise hard. Ning Rongrong shook off Yu Tianming's hand and hit him with a pair of meaty fists. Everyone laughed when they saw her innocent look when she was angry. After leaving the Great Soul Fighting Arena, several people returned to Lanba Academy, and then Yu Tianming spoke. Grandpa, when I was helping Ozzy hunt for soul rings in the Sunset Forest, I sensed a treasure in the middle of the forest that was attracted to my martial spirit. How about Grandpa taking me to explore it tomorrow? Did Yu Tianming sense it? He sensed nothing. But as long as he can bring Yu Yuanzhen over and seize the ice and fire eyes, then he has indeed sensed it. When Yu Yuanzhen heard this, he immediately became interested. He stroked his beard and asked, then as you said, we will set off early tomorrow morning. In the early morning of the next day, just after dawn, Yu Yuanzhen mentioned Yu Tianming and flew to the center of the Sunset Forest at the speed of a titled Douluo. When the two of them arrived near the center of the Sunset Forest, they could see the poisonous fog in the distance from a high position. They saw that the poisonous fog was tens of meters high and more than 100 meters wide, wrapping a low mountain peak in the center. Seeing this, the two people with the ability to fly directly crossed the poisonous formation from 1,000 meters altitude and arrived at the top of the mountain. When they arrived here, even though the two of them were mentally prepared, they couldn't help but be shocked by the terrain in front of them. In front of them was an inverted cone-shaped mountain col. They were on the edge of the mountain col. They saw thick heat rising from the mountain col, carrying a bit of the unique smell of sulfur. The heat in the mountains is like a white mist dragon, curling up and circling in the air. The sun shines on it and reflects the colorful halo, which is beautiful and sacred. Both grandfather and grandson turned their attention to the source of the fog, a hot spring. What is a little surprising is that the hot springs in the valley are different from what was imagined. The hot springs emitting such huge water vapor are actually only a few feet in diameter. The water in the hot spring is divided into two parts, one side is milky white like frost, and the other side is red like blood. Although the springs of different colors are in the same pool, they are distinct and do not infringe on each other, always staying on their own side. The water vapor rolling up was generated by the position between the two hot springs. It continued to rise up until it slowly dispersed at the mountain pass. Yu Yuanzhen patted Yu Tianming on the shoulder and said with a smile, "What a treasure place, it deserves to be the Kailaniar of my Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Such an extraordinary place should also have important treasures. Around the ice and fire eyes, there are all kinds of plants in various shapes and forms. It looks like a plant paradise. It is difficult for ordinary plants to survive here, and the rare drugs that can survive are under the influence of the ice and fire eyes, and their medicinal properties increase at a rate 10 times that of the outside world. Therefore, the place is full of precious medicinal herbs that have been around for a long time. The eye of ice and fire not only nourishes animals, but also has extremely special effects on the human body. If humans or animals live next to the ice and fire eyes, their bodies will be impacted by the two extreme attributes of heaven and earth spiritual energy. If they cannot leave in time, they will definitely explode and die." Yu Yuanzhen felt that the unusual aura here prevented Yu Tianming from moving forward, and said, "There is a difference in the aura of heaven and earth here. If you stay here for a long time, your life may be in danger. If you feel uncomfortable, we will retreat immediately." Yu Tianming smiled when he heard this. "Grandpa, don't worry, my martial soul is very resistant to this extreme environment after mutation. Ghidorah is an alien species and can best adapt to various extreme environments." At the intersection of yin and yang, Yu Tianming only felt slightly uncomfortable. After walking to the foot of the mountain col, Yu Tianming took a brief look, and his originally excited heart gradually calmed down. Faced with many strange-looking herbs, he only recognized the star anise ice grass and fiery apricot jiaisha based on the few words he knew from novels in his previous life. The other immortal products were difficult to distinguish at all. If you get the wrong herb, or take it the wrong way, you will die without a burial. He is well aware of the functions of these heavenly materials and earthly treasures, and at the same time he also knows how terrifying they are. If used improperly, the immortality can also turn into a deadly poison. Just when Yu Tianming was hesitating, a loud shout came from the distance, "Which reckless thief dares to come to my medicine garden and run wild?" I saw an old man, as tall and thin as a javelin, wearing a green robe, leaping from the top of the opposite slope like a big bird. When the old man came forward aggressively, you could see that his beard and hair were all green, and his eyes were shining like emeralds. Such an appearance could stop a child from crying at night. "You two thieves can actually pass through my poisonous formation, but if you meet me, you will probably die here." Douluo was naturally withdrawn and often practiced alone. In addition, due to his martial soul being poisonous, others were unwilling to interact with him. Because Yu Yuanzhen's aura was not visible, Douluo could not recognize this long-famous Thunder Douluo. Chapter 17. Yu Yuanzhen couldn't help laughing. At this time, Douluo saw that the tall old man in front of him was so calm and graceful, and the anger in his heart suddenly disappeared, and all his murderous intentions turned into uncertainty. He calmed down his momentum, clasped his hands into fists, and asked tentatively, "May I ask who you are?" Seeing Douluo's arrogant and respectful attitude, if Yu Tianming is a bitch written in the novels of his previous life, he will immediately jump out, take advantage of the power of the person and let out a loud shout, and then start kicking his nose and face. But he still chose to take the overall situation into consideration, and introduced from the side, "The person in front of you is the leader of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, Thunder Douluo Yu Yuanzhen. Who in the entire Douluo continent knows about the reputation of the three sects?" After hearing this, Douluo suddenly broke out in sweat, and it seemed as if a bone-chilling chill ran from the top of his head to the soles of his feet, making him tremble like chaff, unable to move his feet and unable to speak. He knew that if he was not discovered at a distance, he might still have a chance to escape, but now that he was in front of Yu Yuanzhen, where could he survive? After all, he is an old man who has been around for many years. Douluo's wisdom and perseverance are incomparable. In the next second, he got rid of the fear of death, tremblingly bowed to the ground, and said, "I am stupid and don't know Thunder Mian's face. I hope Mian will forgive me." He did not expect to escape, he could only place his hope in Yu Yuanzhen's kindness. It was not that Douluo was not proud of being a soul master, but his son and daughter-in-law had passed away a few years ago. If he died again, his 6-year-old granddaughter would have to face this cruel world alone. Although Douluo immediately fell to the ground and begged for mercy, Yu Yuanzhen's eyes became colder and colder. Yu Yuanzhen took a step forward and vaguely protected Yu Tianming behind his back, and then his whole body began to transform into a dragon, with majestic scales growing out of his body. He was already more than 2 meters tall, and he stood there as if he were a human. The rising dragon. "I would like to keep you alive, but only the dead can truly keep secrets," he said with murderous intent. Hearing this, Douluo, who was kneeling on the ground, stopped trembling. Now he was just a contra, and at such a close distance, he could only remain silent and kill him with his neck. Yu Tianming wanted to keep Douluo, so he hurriedly said, "Why not let this senior join our Blue Lightning Overlord sect? To strengthen our momentum." Seeing that Yu Yuanzhen's murderous intention was still unabated, Yu Tianming said to Douluo again, "I heard that Senior Douluo's only granddaughter is in Tiandu City. Dragon and Snake are a family, why not take her to the Blue Lightning Overlord sect for training?" Seeing that his heel had been punctured, Douluo was worried about his granddaughter and hurriedly said, "Junior Douluo is willing to die for the senior. I only ask that the senior spares my granddaughter." Yu Yuanzhen was silent for a moment, thinking in his heart, if Douluo's only granddaughter marries into the sect in the future, and her meat rots in the pot, it is not a bad idea to spare his life. As his thoughts turned, Yu Yuanzhen released his dragon transformation and said to Douluo calmly, "Since you are determined to join my Blue Lightning Overlord sect, then get up. Thank you for your kindness." Douluo stood up tremblingly, hesitated a little, and then said to Yu Yuanzhen, "The most precious treasure in the world is where the virtuous live. This treasure land deserves to belong to me. However, I have been deeply poisoned. I hope you will have mercy on me and allow me to suppress the poison here from time to time. Extreme heat and cold both have a restraining effect on poisons. And in a place where such heavenly and earthly treasures as the ice and fire eyes are located, the restraint on poisons is extremely strong. Otherwise, all kinds of rare plants must not be allowed to grow here at the same time. Since Douluo found the Eye of Ice and Fire a few years ago, he has not only suppressed the toxins in his body to save his life, but also made him faintly have the potential to break through to the titled Douluo at level 89. However, if he leaves here for a long time, he may have to life is not guaranteed. He seemed to feel that his request was too much, so he frowned and his voice became quieter and quieter. Yu Yuanzhen originally wanted to kill him, but Yu Tianming was afraid that his life would be in danger, so he hurriedly said, I can indeed sense that Senior Dogu's poison has penetrated into the bone marrow. Why don't we wait until we find Senior's granddaughter, and then leave Senior here to prevent Xiao Xiao from killing him? There are many medicines here, and their properties are strange, so they cannot be taken easily. Once the sect finds a way to use the herbs here, it will be able to detoxify Senior Dogu. Yu Yuanzhen and Yu Tianming looked at each other. They knew what the other party was thinking, but they didn't say it clearly. They only said, if you come here sincerely, our Blue Lightning Overlord sect will definitely try to detoxify you. Hearing this, Dogu knelt on the ground again. He knew that he was deeply poisoned and there was no cure. But in order to dispel Yu Yuanzhen's doubts, he saved himself and his granddaughter. He made a look of being moved, raised one hand above his head, and choked out, Junior Dogu is willing to swear by his martial spirit that he will never betray the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. A boy can be taught. Yu Yuanzhen stroked his beard and nodded with satisfaction. As for helping him detoxify? Never thought about it at all. Yu Yuanzhen's only thought now was to obtain the catalogue of medicinal herbs from the Po family and give them to his own family first. 4 years ago, after news spread on the mainland that the young master of the Haoshan sect, Tang Hao, had killed Jian Sunji, the previous pope of the Wuhan Palace, the Haoshan sect closed the mountain gate to hide from the world. Although the Wuhan Palace did not attack the Haoshan sect for some unknown reason, it launched a large-scale retaliation against the affiliated forces of the Haoshan sect. As the foremost outstanding single attribute clans among the affiliated forces of the Haoshan sect, strength, control, agility, and destruction have been targeted the most by the Spirit Hall. Suddenly being targeted by the largest force in the Douluo continent and without protection, each of the 4 major families suffered heavy losses. In this existential crisis, the 4 single attribute clans can only fall apart and find their own way out. Among them, the Force clan whose martial spirit is the powerful gorilla went to the capital of the Tiandu Empire and made a living by blacksmithing and making a good living. The Yu clan, whose martial spirit is the giant plate-armored rhinoceros, went to Longxing City in the north of the Star Luo Empire and settled down, making a living by building fortifications. The Po clan whose martial spirit is the soul-breaking gun also lives in Longjian City in the north of the Star Luo Empire, not far from Longxing City, and makes a living by refining medicine and poisoning. The Min clan, whose martial spirit is sharp-tailed swift, is also in the Star Luo Empire, but apart from being faster, they have no means of making a living, so they are the worst among the 4 major clans. It just so happened that the Blue Lightning Overlord sect was stationed in Longji City near the junction of Xingluo Tiandu, very close to the Po and Yu clans. The Po clan had long been known for its excellent poison-making and medicine-making skills, but they had been forced to do so by martial arts before. The Soul Palace was intimidated so that they would not dare to have too much contact with it. Now that Yu Yuanzhen looked at the many immortal grasses in the Ice and Fire Eyes, but there were no treasure mountains, and they were not allowed to enter, naturally he immediately thought of the Po clan. Seeing that the 2 of them are now acting like a good minister must meet a good master, Dogu's life is not in danger. Yu Tianming said to Yu Yuanzhen. I know how to take the 2 herbs on the spring. Please protect me, uncle. He wanted to take the recognizable star anise ice grass and fire apricot jiaisha first to prevent long nights and dreams. Chapter 18. Yu Tianming handed Yu Yuanzhen a dagger and said, Grandpa, use this dagger to cut off the white flower from the root and put it aside. There is a white medicinal herb growing at the center of the cold yin spring. The top looks like a large white flower, octagonal in shape, with stamens shining like ice crystals in the center, without any fragrance. Yu Yuanzhen had known for many years that his grandson was young and mature, so he went straight to the spring without thinking too much. Although there is no warmth in the white spring, one can still feel the danger in it, as if he, the titled Douluo himself, will be dead if he goes down. After approaching the white flower, Yu Yuanzhen felt the air conditioning was overwhelming. He hurriedly slashed the root of the white flower with a dagger. The large octagonal white flower fell down and was taken to the side among the herbs. When the white flowers fell to the ground, a cold air spread out, and the surrounding herbs were instantly covered with a light layer of white frost. This thing is called octagonal ice grass. It is a strange cold flower that can make the heart feel chilly and the central nervous system numb. The air conditioning within 10 meters of this grass is overwhelming, and if it stays for a little longer, the cold poison attacks the heart and cannot be cured. Not to mention eating, even being next to it would be bad luck. To take it off, you must use something of gold or iron. Seeing how dangerous this white flower was, Yu Yuanzhen said angrily to Yu Tianming in the distance, "This herb is so terrifying. If you stand aside for a moment, you will lose your life. How are you going to take it?" "Grandpa, don't worry, you use this jade knife to cut off another red herb in the same way. Water and fire are incompatible. There is no toxicity within 10 breaths of putting the two plants together. At this time, after I take it, I will be immune to both water and fire, and then enter this ice and fire. A golden body can be refined between the two springs." Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen, who had experienced the horror of pond water and medicinal herbs, became even more angry and said, "You will definitely die if you do this." Douluo also helped, "I'm afraid even a titled Douluo would be unable to bear this pool of water. How dare you go down there?" Douluo naturally knows the power of the ice and fire eyes. He has never even brought Douguyan here because he is afraid that the aura here will harm his granddaughter. Seeing that the two of them were so resistant, Yu Tianming said with a serious face in order to successfully take the only jelly grass he could identify. "Grandpa, do you know the seraphs from the Qunjia of Wuhan Palace? Now my Wuhan has reminded me that I must take the fairy grass in this way." After hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen was silent for a moment, and only said, "Then be careful." Then he picked up the jade shovel given by Yu Tianming and walked towards the red Yang Chuan. On the other side of the Eye of Ice and Fire, in the center of the blazing Yang Chuan, there is a plant that looks like a cabbage but is completely red. This is a poisonous immortal plant with top-level fire poison, fire apricot jiaishu. This plant only grows in hot places and can survive even in magma. All functions are exactly the same as the extremely cold star anise ice grass. On the contrary, it cannot be cut with metal, it must be cut with jade so that it can be removed without losing its effectiveness. As a titled Douluo, Yu Yuanzhen was extremely fast. With his hand raised and the knife lowered, the jade shovel slashed across the roots of the red cabbage, and the fiery apricots fell sparsely into the open space between the two springs. Yu Yuanzhen has been staying beside the Eyes of Ice and Fire for quite some time. He has taken off two kinds of immortal products with extreme temperament, which are hot and cold alternately. Even though he has the physical fitness of a 95th level attack titled Douluo, in Chi his face was extremely ugly even as the blood surged. But he didn't stop. Instead, he instantly dodged to the octagonal black ice grass and threw the white octagonal flower into the open space. At the speed of titled Douluo, two fairy grasses landed on the open space not far from the intersection of the springs almost at the same time. It is strange to say that before the two fairy grasses that were extremely cold and hot had a terrifying aura, when they were put together, the cold and hot auras disappeared at the same time. Instead, the octagonal black ice grass was covered with a layer of faint red light, while the fiery apricot jiaishu was covered with a layer of faint white air. Yu Tianming knew that he only had 10 breaths of time, and these 10 breaths were the only time to take them. While thinking about it, Yu Tianming was possessed by his martial spirit and quickly picked up two harmless immortals and ate them. Although the two immortal products are poisonous, they no longer have the same domineering power after they met. They melt in the mouth and turn into body fluids flowing down the throat. Yu Tianming only feels the fluid on the bottom of his tongue, and the fragrance overflows. But 5 seconds later, Yu Tianming's body trembled violently, and a layer of icy blue rose directly from his feet. In the blink of an eye, his whole body had completely turned blue. Immediately afterwards, another layer of red rose, turning Yu Tianming's whole body red. At this time, he looked as red as a freshly cooked prawn. At this time, Yu Tianming was 10 levels lower than Tang San back then. Under the impact of the two extreme auras, even the cosmic life Ghidorah couldn't withstand it. Such a simple alternation process brought the pain to the peak of Yu Tianming's 2 lifetimes, almost causing his spirit to collapse. He knew that he would soon lose control of his body under this kind of pain. At this time, the arrow was already on the string and had to be fired. Without thinking too much, and not allowing him to think too much, Yu Tianming closed his eyes and pounced directly towards the line between the extreme cold Yin spring and the hot Yang spring. Yu Tianming clearly remembered that he would not be injured if he jumped into the pool of water only after the effect of the medicine had taken effect. Otherwise, no bones would be left if he entered the pool of water. At this time, the effect of the medicine had taken effect, but he didn't feel much anymore, because under the influence of star anise ice grass and fiery apricot, all his perception of the outside world had disappeared in an instant. Although the two energies of ice and fire had been neutralized before, they stirred crazily after entering the body. The medicinal power contained in the fairy herbs was so terrifying. Ice and fire were in conflict with each other. Under the impact of the instant burst of energy, Yu Tianming was unable to do anything at all. He used his will to resist, and the moment he fell into the cold and hot ice and fire eyes, he fell into a coma. The spring water in Lianji's eyes tumbled as Yu Tianming fell in. When he sank completely and the spring water surged, the water surface returned to calm. Milky white and red were still so distinct, and water vapor still filled the air. Everything returns to silence. Yu Yuanzhen and Douluo, who were watching from the side, were relieved to see that Yu Tianming was not instantly shattered into pieces. They knew that Yu Tianming had a high probability of success. At this time, the ice and fire eyes exerted a strong stimulating effect on the two highly toxic fairy grasses of star anise ice grass and fiery apricot jiaishu, prompting their ice and fire energy to be transformed into Yu Tianming himself. Although Yu Tianming is in a coma, for some reason the possession of Wuhan has not been lifted. The two dragon heads that were originally on the trapezius muscles also closed their eyes and lay on Yu Tianming's shoulders, looking like a pair of generals. The animal head on the shirt. Little red or white stars gradually appeared in the spring, converging towards Yu Tianming sinking to the bottom of the lake. Chapter 19. Ice and fire are present. Yu Tianming, who was possessed by the martial spirit, curled up, with the huge wings on his back wrapping his body, and his two tails kept rising and falling with his breathing. Under the promotion of the ice and fire eyes, the two kinds of immortal grass, namely star anise ice grass and fierce fire apricot jiaishu, were slowly absorbed into Yu Tianming's body. Yu Tianming was different from Tang San. Since his martial spirit belonged to the dragon clan, the starlight with the dragon's aura in the spring was also attracted to him, and was absorbed into his body along with the medicinal effects of the two fairy grasses. Countless years ago, after the death of the water and fire dragon kings, their bodies hit the mountain in the sunset forest like meteorites, creating a huge crater on the top of the mountain. The remains of the two dragon kings are now thousands of feet deep below the crater. In the blue sea and mulberry fields, with the passage of time, the lost auras of the two dragon kings gradually created the cornucopia of ice and fire eyes. Although the breath of dragons cannot be felt on the water of ice and fire eyes, the spring water does contain the blood of dragons. Under the influence of the two eyes of ice and fire, while Yu Tianming was absorbing the power of the two immortal herbs, the aura of the dragon family was also pouring into his body at an accelerated rate. Countless red or blue starlights around him gradually formed a gorgeous vortex, heading towards they gathered around him. Yu Tianming jumped into the pool in the early morning, but his figure did not appear from the spring until the sun went down. Yu Yuanzhen saw that he had not appeared for a long time, and his originally peaceful heart gradually became anxious, and he kept wandering in the distance of the ice and fire eyes. As time passed by, his heart gradually began to sink, and the look he looked at Douluo gradually became unkind. Yu Yuanzhen was originally self-willed and self-willed. Now that he saw that his grandson did not know whether he was alive or dead, but Douluo was alive and well, he began to have the idea of burying Douluo with him. Douluo, who was sitting nearby, was sweating profusely and restless after feeling the killing intent. Under Yu Yuanzhen's gaze, Douluo could only calm down and closed his eyes, pretending to meditate. No one hopes that Yu Tianming is safe and sound more than him now. As the sun and moon passed by, the sunshine of the next morning fell on the ice and fire eyes again. At this time, most of the medicinal properties of the fairy grass had been absorbed by Yu Tianming, and the remaining medicinal power was deposited in the meridians and bones of the body. It was difficult to use it for a while. It could only be absorbed slowly with the help of the ice and fire eyes in the future. The light spots containing the dragon's aura seemed to have reached a critical value and no longer flowed towards Yu Tianming. Most of these light spots converged on his wings and were adsorbed between his wing bones, causing his wings to emit a glittering golden light in the water, while a trace of undetectable divine aura was quietly hidden in them. Slowly Yu Tianming regained consciousness. He could feel an extra soul bone on his wings, connected to his shoulder blades. He didn't know where this soul bone came from, but he could realize that it was probably related to the Ice and Fire Dragon King at the bottom of the pond. Related. However, he does not plan to announce his newly obtained soul bones now, nor does he plan to go looking for the remains of the Ice and Fire Dragon King. First, because the two Dragon Kings were thousands of feet deep underwater, he could not withstand the huge water pressure. The second is that the Dragon Clan has enmity with many gods in the sky, and he does not want to attract attention. Most of the medicinal properties of the two immortal poisonous herbs have been absorbed by him. Although it did not increase his soul power, it improved his physical strength and gave him the ability to be immune to ice and fire. To him now, the white cold yin spring is like cold water, and the red blazing yang spring is just warm water. Not only will he not be harmed by soaking in it, he will be very comfortable. After understanding his condition, Yu Tianming slowly surfaced. All his clothes had already turned into powder under the influence of the spring water, but there were only two men in Bing Huolianji's eyes, Douluo and Yu Yuanzhen, so there was no need to cover them. 9-year-old Yu Tianming is already 1.75 meters tall, with red lips, white teeth, black hair, and black eyes. After being baptized by the spring water, his appearance has undergone subtle changes, giving him a natural and harmonious beauty. After climbing ashore, the red and white spring water on his body was like mercury beads, sliding off his sculptured muscles, forming patches of hoarfrost and scorched earth on the ground. Douluo, who had been frightened all night in the distance, could not help but let out a sigh of relief when he saw that he was safe and sound. Yu Yuanzhen flashed directly to Yu Tianming and asked with concern, "Tianming, are you feeling uncomfortable in any way now?" Yu Tianming picked up the ring placed on the shore and said while putting on his clothes, "Grandpa, don't worry, I'm very well now." Having said that, he summoned the martial soul to possess him. He didn't have a few more fancy colors like Tang San did after taking the fairy grass. He still had the same original image. It's just that the lines become smoother and more aesthetic. As a titled Douluo with a dragon-like martial spirit, Yu Yuanzhen was extremely keenly aware of Yu Tianming's changes, and asked sharply, "Is your dragon bloodline more pure?" After hearing this, Yu Tianming suddenly thought that it was the change in martial soul that affected him. Just like Tang San's blue-silver grass turned into blue-silver queen, and turned from a passerby into a peerless beauty. He replied, "Not only is my blood pure, but after being baptized by the spring water, I have the ability to be immune to ice and fire, and my body has been greatly enhanced. Grandpa can give it a try." Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen put his hands on his shoulders and released a little soul power. He only felt that the fascia was tough and the bones and flesh were strong. Although he is only a great soul master at level 23, his physical strength has surpassed many soul sects at level 40 or above. After Yu Yuanzhen thought for a moment, he smiled and said, "With your current body, the third soul ring can absorb soul beasts that are more than 4,000 years old. According to Yu Xiaogong's theory, 4,500 years is exactly the limit of the fourth soul ring. Let's go back to the sect first to find out how to use these herbs, and then we can consider the third soul ring after I take the herbs." Yu Tianming reminded. Yu Yuanzhen could not wait to find the fairy grass catalogue, so he turned to Douluo and said, "Let's go back to Tiandu city to find your granddaughter first." After thinking about it, he said to Yu Tianming, "I'll take Douluo with me. Let's fly directly to Tiandu city without wasting time." Because Douluo couldn't fly until he broke through the title, Yu Yuanzhen flew with him in one hand. Next to Yu Yuanzhen, who is as tall as Yao Ming, the future poison Douluo looks like a half-grown child. In Douluo continent, martial arts can greatly affect a person's body shape. Although Douluo, the Jade Scale Snake Emperor martial spirit, looks as tall and thin as a javelin, he is only over 1.9 meters tall and is extremely thin. Yu Yuanzhen, who possesses the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex martial spirit, can reach a height of more than 2 meters, with a huge back and a strong waist. But his son Yu Xiaogang is only 1.7 meters tall because of Wuhan Luo Sanbao. The Elephant Armor sect, which possesses the Mammoth martial spirit, is generally close to 3 meters tall. Chapter 20. Not long after, everyone who flew all the way returned to Tiandu city. Under the leadership of Douluo, several people came to an exquisite villa. Although the area here is not large, the pavilions are scattered, the layout is exquisite, and the gardens are full of exotic flowers and plants. It can be seen that although Douluo lives in the eye of ice and fire all day long, he is quite wealthy. After entering the door, everyone took their seats. Douluo ordered a middle-aged maid, "Bring the young lady here." After a while, a little girl with slightly green hair was brought. Although she was not very old, she had good facial features and a smile on her face. At first glance, she was a beauty. When the little girl saw Douluo, she flew into his arms like a tired bird returning to the forest, and asked in a low voice, "Why did Grandpa come back just now?" Douluo also picked up Douluo and smiled fondly, "From now on, we will live with the Grandpa next to us. Then Grandpa will accompany Yan every day." The faces of the old man and the young man showed happy smiles, and it was obvious that the grandfather and grandson really had a good relationship. In order to prove his true identity, Yu Yuanzhen interrupted their tenderness and said, "Little girl, can you let Grandpa see the martial spirit?" Hearing this, Douluo looked at Douluo. After getting Douluo's nod of agreement, she was directly possessed by the martial spirit. Like Aizhu, her legs came together to form an emerald green snake's tail. In Douluo continent, the best proof of kinship is the martial spirit. Although the green scale snake lacks the domineering power of the king of the race, its image is not much different from Douluo's green scale snake king. Just like blue silver grass and blue silver emperor, their relationship can be seen at a glance. Seeing that their martial spirits were similar, Yu Yuanzhen also nodded and said to Douluo, "If there is anything else, please deal with it quickly. Let's leave right away." After a while, Douluo dismissed his servants, closed the door of the villa, hugged Douluo and followed the two to Lanba Academy. Lanba Academy is also a famous institution in Tiandu City, and anyone who is interested can tell at a glance whose power it belongs to, so Yu Yuanzhen does not need to guard against Douluo. At this time, Douluo had just awakened his martial spirit, with a little green in his hair. While walking on the road, Yu Tianming noticed Douluo's hair and asked Douluo, "Did her hair not have green color before?" Douluo replied, "Indeed not." He had long had a vague suspicion about the change in Douluo's hair color, but he never dared to admit it. That senior's granddaughter may have also been poisoned by the martial spirit. Yu Tianming revealed the truth in one sentence. Although he had already guessed it, after hearing this, Douluo's heartbeat still stopped for half a beat. After a moment of silence, the Contra said with some choking, "I have been tortured by the poison of this martial spirit for half my life and killed my son and daughter-in-law. I didn't expect that I would pass it on to my granddaughter." Douluo in his arms knew that he was poisoned, but he still wiped the corners of Douluo's eyes and said warmly, "It doesn't matter, I don't blame Grandpa." Seeing that the two of them were a little excited and were about to stage a drama of pain, Yu Tianming hurriedly comforted him. Douluo's martial spirit is just a green-scaled snake with a weak venom. He is young and has just been contaminated with toxins. It can still be cured. Yu Yuanzhen also echoed at this time, "Since you have joined the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, we will definitely do our best to help your granddaughter's treatment." Although he wanted to kill Douluo several times, he also knew that only those who are worthy and virtuous can obey others. "I hope that I can get Douluo's sincere help by treating Douluo." Seeing the two people's solemn promises, Douluo also said sincerely, "If Yan is cured, I, Douluo, will be willing to drive it." As a loner all his life, he had never been willing to join any forces, but he knew that the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, one of the three upper sects, really had the potential to cure Douluo. While the three of them were talking, they arrived at Lanba Academy unknowingly. Yu Yuanzhen first told Yu Luomian, "I have something to do these days. You can go to Tiandu Palace for me tomorrow to bring the convoy back to the section." Then he said to Yu Tianming, "Aizhu, Azi, and you are all at level 20. You compete with them and let me see your strength." The sect has just received many medicinal herbs from the Ice and Fire Eyes, and the sect is rich in resources. If these two maids can be reused, he can also allocate some resources. Lanba Academy, a newly built martial arts field, Yu Tianming, Aizhu, and Azi stood 10 meters apart facing each other. For the purpose of testing Zhu Zi and the two, Yu Tianming still cannot use his flying ability. Lu Erlong, as the referee, shouted start, and both sides were instantly possessed by martial arts spirits. The red-haired Aizhu grew 2 red sharp horns and a snake tail. The blue-haired Azi grew a blue-purple horn. Their looks match each other like gold and silver horns. Although Aza could turn her legs into fish tails, it was not convenient to move on land, so she couldn't turn them into fish tails. Azi took a step forward first, stood in front of Aizhu, and shouted, "The second soul skill, blue crystal armor." As the second soul ring flickered under her feet, a set of full body armor appeared on her body. This armor had the same color as the blue crystal dragon lizard, and was decorated with animal heads on its shoulders and waist. The effect of this soul skill is to increase the defense by 100%, and if the armor is full of electric energy, the defense can be increased by another 50%. Of course, the electric energy of the armor can also be released. The soul beast thunder eel has thick fat that can protect itself from being electrocuted, and it also has excellent defense against blunt objects. Therefore, after being possessed by Ozzy's martial soul, her resistance to blunt force impacts was also extremely good. Now that she was wearing armor that could withstand sharp weapons, she instantly became a good defensive spirit master. After releasing the second soul skill, Ozzy shouted again, the first soul skill, charging electricity. Suddenly, the whole body emitted blue-purple fluorescence. The effect of her first soul skill is to store electric energy, which can increase lightning damage and speed by 30% before releasing the electric energy. The soul beast thunder eel's defense, speed, and attack power are far inferior to the blue electric Tyrannosaurus, but it has one advantage: the instant damage is higher than that of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus. Electric eels on the Earth can emit a voltage of 300 to 800 volts, and the voltage emitted by Ozzy's martial spirit thunder eel can easily exceed 1000 volts. Now 2 more soul skills that can accumulate electric energy have been superimposed. Now not only the defense is amazing, but the instantaneous burst ability is unrivaled. Yu Tianming noticed that the brightness of Ozzy's armor was not at its maximum. If he breathed lightning, it would be absorbed and it would be difficult to cause damage in a short period of time. However, if he uses flame breath, Aizhu will not be harmed by the fire when he releases his first soul skill. He can use his first soul skill, Fire Flash, to flash through it instantly, adding a flame that burns his spirit. Use the remaining hurricane breath, but the damage is too low. The two of them were standing quite close to each other, and there was no way for him to go around behind them. Aizhu and Azzi's strategy is very simple and very effective, directly forcing Yu Tianming and Ozzy to engage in hand-to-hand combat. If he had not been knocked down by Ozzy's instantaneous burst of electricity, Aizhu would have waited for an opportunity to sneak attack and add his own soul-eating fire. If an ordinary melee soul master encounters this combination, he will only be defeated. But unfortunately, they met Yu Tianming. Chapter 21. Yu Tianming's martial spirit already had top-notch physical strength, but now it has absorbed the star anise ice grass and fiery apricot jiaishu, and its frankness is astonishing. He did not choose to use detours and other tactics, but directly shouted wind and thunder protection. Suddenly golden lightning appeared on his body, and the green wind around him began to carry him forward, doubling his speed. Yu Tianming, who is 9 years old this year, is already 1.75 meters tall. After being possessed by Wuhan, his whole body is tangled with muscles, and his height has soared to 2 meters. He arrived in front of Ozzy almost in an instant. At this speed, his huge body alone was as unstoppable as a 180-mile dump truck. Although Yu Tianming is fast, it is not as fast as Aizhu's short-distance movement. This is the time when it is most difficult to avoid attacks. Naturally, Aizhu would not miss this great opportunity. He activated his second soul skill and soul bone skill, soul-eating demonic fire and eternal red flame, and then lightly shouted Fire Spirit Flash, turning it into a ball of crimson flames. Rushed towards him instantly. Yu Tianming had actually sensed the attack of the flames, but he did not dodge, and allowed the fire to fall on him, and then condensed into Aizhu's figure behind him. The areas where the flames streaked across his body began to burn under the influence of Aizhu's soul skills. If an ordinary great soul master were exposed to such a large area of flame, he would be burned to ashes in just a few moments. Yu Tianming, who was behind water and fire alchemy, ignored the fire damage, but the mental damage from Aizhu's second soul skill made him scream. Fortunately, the soul-corrupting demonic fire does not cause instant damage. It will take at least half a stick of incense to make him lose his combat effectiveness. At this moment, Yu Tianming had already rushed in front of Ozzy. Ozzy's first soul skill has a 30% acceleration effect, but Yu Tianming's basic speed is far higher than hers, and the acceleration reaches 100%. After calculation, the speed difference between the two was so big that she didn't even react. The two dragon heads lying on Yu Tianming's shoulders while possessed by Wuhan instantly stretched out their necks to bite Azzi, wrapping her around and lifting her up. Under the huge impact and bite force, the animal head on the shoulder of her armor shattered directly. From Azzi's perspective, when Yu Tianming caught her, he was also caught by her. When the dragon's head bit Azzi tightly, she did not miss the opportunity and directly released the high-voltage electricity of the martial spirit itself and the electrical energy accumulated in the first and second soul skills at the same time. Under her attack, although Yu Tianming's body was charred black, his skin also exuded a meaty aroma. Yu Yuanzhen stood up at this moment. He was not worried that Yu Tianming would be injured, but was surprised by the huge power of Aza's attack. As a Thunder Douluo, he knew very well that the intensity of this electric shock was as powerful as the fourth soul ring. Although it was not a fused ring, it was more powerful than a fused ring. An ordinary soul master of the same level would lose his life in an instant under high-voltage electricity. Even a soul master with the blue electric Tyrannosaurus dragon spirit, whose electrical resistance is astonishing, would lose his combat effectiveness after receiving this blow. But Yu Tianming is different. His martial soul has extremely high resistance and can absorb electric energy better. Although his skin was injured by electricity, most of the electrical energy had been absorbed into his body, and a golden light appeared all over his body. Yu Tianming laughed loudly, and used his two tails to wrap up the weak Azi like a morning glory. But under the control of Aju's soul bone skills, the flames continued to burn on Yu Tianming's body. In the raging fire, he looked like a dragon just crawling out of hell. He turned around, looked at the surprised Aju not far away, and spread his huge wings. Ma Hongjun's wings are long on his arms. The width of the wings depends on his arm span. They are no more than 2 meters wide. They look like a fat hen fluttering its wings. Although Lu Erlong has more wings on his back than the blue electric Tyrannosaurus, his flying ability is so poor that an owl becomes the flying horn. Yu Tianming's wings are different from theirs, the huge wings are connected from the shoulder blades to the waist. When unfolded, it is like a demon god coming to the world, full of intimidation. At this time, the golden electric light on his body gradually transferred to his wings, and then a powerful thunder and lightning burst out in an instant, sweeping the entire arena in a hemispheric shape. Seeing Yu Tianming move, Aju quickly used her first soul skill to form a ball of flame and dodge to the side, but the golden thunder light had already covered the entire arena. Where could she hide? After the golden current flashed through, Aju immediately transformed into a human form again and fell to the ground twitching. At this time, without Aju's support, the flames on Yu Tianming's body were quickly extinguished. The flames burned for less than 10 seconds, but the mental damage caused made him feel dizzy. Fortunately, the burning time is short, and it can be recovered after a short sleep. If it had been a few minutes longer, it would have taken several months to recover from the mental damage. Azi, who was entangled in the tail, had already lost strength due to excessive use of soul power. Seeing that Aju had also fainted, he directly removed the blue crystal armor on his body and said simply, "We surrender." Seeing that these two people had given up, Yu Tianming walked down the ring holding the unconscious Azi with one hand and holding the unconscious Aju with the other. Book friends who have girlfriends all know that women's bodies are much softer than men's, and Aza's martial soul Thunder Eel is a fish that is rich in fat, has no scales, and is very soft. Yu Tianming could clearly feel at this moment that Azi on the left was as soft and boneless as a thunder eel, and Aju on the right was as warm and smooth as a fire snake. This shows how much influence the martial spirit has on a person. Yu Tianming has now absorbed the fairy grass, and there is no need to fight against them. It is purely a crushing of hard power. Seeing that he defeated the two men in just tens of seconds, Douluo on the side couldn't help but sigh. As expected of the top 3 sects, there are so many talents, and the young sect leader is so powerful. Under the ring, Lu Erlong also asked in surprise, "Is the spherical lightning shock wave just now your own soul skill?" Hearing this, Yu Tianming said, "This is not a soul skill. I just released the thunder and lightning on myself and Azi." Yu Yuanzhen also smiled happily and said, "It seems that our Blue Lightning Overlord sect has 2 more pillars." Although the two women lost quickly, with his title Douluo's eyesight, he could realize how powerful they were among their peers. Aju's first soul skill can evade most conventional attacks, such as Tang San's blue-silver grass entanglement, blue-silver cage, and Tang San's hammer. The combination of her 2 soul skills and the soul bone skill can easily infect the enemy with the eternal flame that burns the spirit. Aza has the power storage of the martial spirit itself, the power storage of the first soul skill, and the power storage of the armor of the second soul skill, a triple enhanced power storage ability. Although the attack range is short and she can only unleash her full power once, it is undeniable that her instant attack power far exceeds her current level. Chapter 22. After the 3-person competition ended, Yu Yuanzhen said to Douluo, "It's time for Douluo to leave. You should say goodbye to your granddaughter." Hearing this, Douluo put down his arms and Douluo said dotingly, "Yan Yan, if you follow Grandpa Yu in the future, you must listen to him. I will visit you often." Douluo was a little reluctant to leave, but still said sensibly, "Goodbye, Grandpa." She has lived in Douluo's villa for a long time. Except for her grandfather, parents, and a few servants, she has never had contact with outsiders. It can be seen from her words and deeds that she is very simple. Yu Tianming has met many people of the same age, but she is the only one who looks like a real child. After Dugu and his grandson said goodbye, Yu Yuanzhen mentioned Yu Tianming with one hand and Duguyan with the other. He soared directly into the sky and flew to Longjian City where the broken clan was located. 4 years ago, after Tang Hao killed Jian Sunji, the Haoshan sect could not escape. Wuhan Palace launched an extremely serious retaliation against the 4 major families under the Haoshan sect. The Po clan was attacked by a sniper from Wuhan Palace. Nearly half of the clan was damaged, and their vitality was never recovered. The only son of the patriarch Yang Wudi died tragically during the retreat, and his younger brother Yang Wushuan was also captured by Wuhan Palace. The relationship between the Po clan and the Haoshan sect is relatively distant, and now they blame the Haoshan sect for Wuhan Palace's revenge, so they hate the Haoshan sect more than they hate the Seoul Palace. Now the Po clan has just settled in Longjian City in the north of the Star Luo Empire. It is located on the edge of the continent and the Wuhan Palace is weak, so they make a living by refining medicine and poisoning there. Longjian City is not far from Longxing City, where the Yuji clan is located, and Longji City, where the Blue Lightning Overlord sect is located. When the Blue Lightning Overlord sect was prosperous hundreds of years ago, these cities were within the sphere of influence of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. But now the Blue Lightning Overlord sect only has one titled Douluo, and its strength is declining. Due to the pressure from Wuhan Palace, Yu Yuanzhen has not even had contact with Yang Wudi who is nearby in Longjian City. Yu Yuanzhen's flying speed was extremely fast, and he flew from Tiandu City in the center of the Tiandu Empire to Longjian City on the edge of the Star Luo Empire in just a few hours. For the sake of keeping a low profile, a few people did not fly directly into the city. Instead, they entered Longjian City after paying the entry fee to the soldiers guarding the city. After entering the city, Duguyan looked around. This was her first time in a city so far away, and she was full of curiosity about it. Although this place is not as prosperous and magnificent as Tiandu City, it still has its own flavor. Yu Tianming found that there were many pharmacies here, and the prices of medicines were much cheaper than in other cities. After asking the waiter in the shop, I realized that most of the medicines refined here were made by the Po clan. Although the effect was good, the Po clan had already suffered heavy losses when they came here 2 years ago, so they could only use low prices to attract soul masters to buy in large quantities in order to restore their vitality as soon as possible. The sun had already set at this time, but the city was still brightly lit, like daylight. Yu Yuanzhen explained, although this is the border of the empire, shipping is well developed. There is also the Po Ji clan and Fengjian sect, one of the 4 lower sects, here. It is not surprising that it is so prosperous. Not long after, the 3 of them arrived at the door of the Po clan's stronghold. Now the entire Poiki clan now lives in a small house. They don't look like a family of soul masters with contra, but more like ordinary gentry and aristocrats. Although not shabby, it is obvious that the family is in decline. Walking to the door, Yu Yuanzhen gave off a hint of the aura of a titled Douluo, and said to the doorman, "Inform the head of your family that Blue Lightning Overlord Zone Yu Yuanzhen is visiting." The doorman noticed that these people were showing extraordinary momentum and hurriedly went back to report, but as soon as he turned around, he met a slender old man. I saw that he was tall and slender, with black hair, a ruddy complexion but a gloomy expression, and his sinister eyes gave people a formidable feeling. Needless to say, this is Yang Wudi, the leader of the Po clan. Seeing this, the doorman hurriedly said to him, "The Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family is here to visit." Yang Wudi waved his hand to him, walked up to a few people and said bluntly, "Thunder Crown is here, what are you doing?" Yu Yuanzhen pulled Duguyan aside and said to Yang Wudi, "I'm here for this little girl's poison." Yang Wudi looked at Duguyan's hair and frowned slightly, and said, "Please come in quickly." Seeing that the 2 of them were talking harmoniously, Yu Tianming also breathed a sigh of relief. Yu Yuanzhen has always had his own way of doing things, and Yang Wudi is direct and willful. If the matter of immortal grass illustration was mentioned directly, Yu Yuanzhen would not tolerate Yang Wudi's temper if he got angry. What if the 2 of them collide and Yang Wudi would rather die than surrender? You must know that the Po Ji clan had conflicts with the old leader of the Haoshan sect, Tang Hao's father, because of the confidentiality of the medicine. So I brought Duguyan here specially, on the one hand, to help Dugubo treat her, and on the other hand, I could also test Yang Wudi's tone. After a few people came in and sat down, Yang Wudi asked first. Do you know the cause of the little girl's illness? Yu Yuanzhen said, this is because she awakened the martial spirit jade scale snake and was affected by its poison. Who knew that Yang Wudi really had a skill and gave the answer directly? If she had a weapon martial soul, she would not be poisoned, but she has a beast martial soul. Whenever she practices, the toxins from the martial soul will be integrated into her body. You can just find a soul bone for her and let her force the toxin into the soul bone when she practices. One sentence of truth is preached, and thousands of books are falsely preached. Yang Wudi stated the treatment plan simply and clearly, but Yu Yuanzhen was silent. Yang Wudi directly stated the solution, making him unable to turn to the fairy grass. Seeing the cold scene, Yu Tianming hurriedly said, she also has an 89-level grandfather, the Contra of the Jade Scale Snake Emperor. He has been poisoned for many years. I don't know how to cure him. Yang Wudi said, the poison has penetrated into the bone marrow, and there is no cure. Yu Tianming took advantage of the situation and said, our sect records some peerless immortal herbs. I wonder if they can cure him. Hearing this, Yang Wudi's originally sinister eyes suddenly burst out with desire. Seeing the change in Yang Wudi's cold face, Yu Tianming said again. But our family records are incomplete, and I heard that the Po clan is proficient in medicine. Why don't you tell us about the celestial herbs that can treat Douluo? Hearing this, Yang Wudi said after a moment of silence. There is an immortal product with no leaves, a stem 3 feet long, purple stamens, and pink petals. The petals are crystal clear, a foot in diameter, have a faint fragrance, and have a 3-foot-long halo around the body, which can detoxify hundreds of poisons. Linlin always mentioned 3 or 4 kinds, but the 2 of them recognized a Yuxiang Kiluo immortal. Yu Yuanzhen said bluntly, I wonder if Patriarch Yang has a catalogue of immortal medicinal herbs that I can take a look at. After hearing this, Yang Wudi's expression changed drastically. But Yu Yuanzhen continued, Clan Chief Yang, I don't want the Po clan to be destroyed in your hands. Chapter 23. Yang Wudi has always been a person who refuses to take soft and hard advice, and his temper is extremely strong. But in the face of Yu Yuanzhen's naked threat, as the leader of the clan, he also fell into silence, and his originally rosy face turned blue and white for a while. The art of medicine is the foundation of the Po clan. Back then, the head of the Haoshan sect asked for it, but he refused directly. But now the family's vitality has long been severely damaged. If Yu Yuanzhen, one of the strongest people today, is angered again, then the whole family will be destroyed in his hands, as he said. There was a long silence in the hall, and the atmosphere became tense. Yu Tianming was afraid that Yang Wudi wouldn't be able to think about it and would use the lives of his whole family to act as a backbone, so he wanted to give him a step up, so he said. We don't want to destroy the family's method of refining medicine. We just want to see how to use the rare treasure medicine in the world. As soon as these words came out, the tit-for-tat atmosphere suddenly eased a lot. Yu Yuanzhen didn't want to push him too hard, so he might agree if he gave Yang Wudi a way out, so he added, what Tianming means is what I mean. Seeing Yang Wudi but still looking troubled, Yu Tianming added more words. Our Blue Lightning Overlord sect doesn't like to bully others, we just want to make friends. If you encounter obstacles that you can't overcome in the future, you can come to the Blue Lightning Overlord sect for help. Yu Yuanzhen and Yu Tianming are 2 people, one is a good person and the other is a bad person. After a moment, Yang Wudi seemed to have decided something. He sat up from the sofa, knelt down and said to Yu Yuanzhen. To be honest, under the persecution of Wuhan Palace, more than half of our Po clan has been destroyed, and we are almost at the end of our rope. We are willing to hand over the catalogue of fairy grass, just asking the Blue Lightning Overlord sect to take it in. Yu Yuanzhen saw this but ignored it, and said coldly, Haoshan sect cannot afford to offend Wuhan Palace. Can I, Blue Lightning Overlord sect, afford it? The Po clan had just been chased by Wuhan Palace, and they had just fled to Longjian City in 2 years. It was understandable that Yu Yuanzhen was not willing to take this trip into troubled waters. But Yu Tianming on the side knew that Wuhan Palace would attack the Blue Lightning Overlord sect sooner or later, and that the broken clan would be able to recover in the future, so he advised Yu Yuanzhen. Grandpa, Wuhan Palace is very ambitious. We should make plans early to strengthen ourselves. How about letting the Po clan continue to do herbal medicine business in Longjian City openly, and how about we communicate secretly? After hearing this, Yang Wudi, who felt that there was something funny, quickly took out a booklet, handed it to him with both hands, and said, the Po clan is willing to run for your majesty. This is the fairy grass illustrated book passed down by the family from generation to generation. I only ask your majesty to take me in. Wait. Yu Yuanzhen picked up the book and flipped through it a few times. There was a bit of joy in his eyes, but he still looked reluctant. After hesitating for a moment, he said. Get up. The Empress of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect will take care of you secretly from now on, but don't let outsiders hear what happened today. Although Yu Yuanzhen seemed reluctant to do so, he was already happy in his heart. If he wasn't afraid of the Wuhan Palace's revenge, who wouldn't want to have multiple affiliated forces like the Haoshan sect? Yang Wudi stood up and said, Thank you, Thunder Mian. It's already late at night, why don't you just rest here for the night? Fengjian sect, one of the 4 lower sects, also lives in Longjian City. Now that Yu Yuanzhen lives here for one night, they will not be missed by Fengjian sect. Then stay here for one night. The 2 Contras, Douluo and Yang Wudi, were so eccentric and unruly in the original work, but they became gentle and friendly after meeting Yu Yuanzhen. When Douluo saw Yu Yuanzhen, he immediately bowed his head and worshipped, and Wuhan swore an oath to surrender. Yang Wudi knelt down in front of Yu Yuanzhen and asked for protection. In the final analysis, it is because Douluo continent is a world where strength is respected and the weak eat the strong. The weak will never have a say. Yu Tianming was able to talk to Douluo and Yang Wudi all because of Yu Yuanzhen standing behind him. Last night, when Yu Yuanzhen mentioned the fairy grass, he used his soul power to knock out Douluo, and he didn't wake up until the morning. So early the next morning, Yu Tianming went to wake her up first. When Douluo woke up quietly, she realized that it was already morning, but because Yu Yuanzhen's actions were extremely subtle, she only felt that she fell asleep while she was chatting with everyone. Douluo's face turned red and she said sheepishly, Brother Tianming, I'm really sorry. I fell asleep last night. Yu Tianming replied, It doesn't matter, let's go out and have breakfast first. Instead of dining at Yang Wudi's house, everyone found a restaurant in the city to experience the unique flavor of this coastal city. As the leader of the 3 upper sects, Yu Yuanzhen will be watched by spies from all sides wherever he goes, even more so than the popular stars in his previous life. If he was secretive, it would only arouse suspicion from all parties and expose him to the public. The spies would only know that they were here to treat Douluo. Instead, it added a layer of smoke to the news that Xianko and the Broken Clan had joined. It wouldn't be too baffling for Douluo to join the Blue Lightning Overlord sect in the future. At the dinner table, everyone ate for a long time without using their chopsticks. Seeing this, Yu Tianming asked doubtfully, Why doesn't Yanyan eat? Is he feeling uncomfortable somewhere? That night, Douluo was knocked unconscious when she didn't hear how to treat Douluo. She always wanted to ask, but didn't know how to speak. After hesitating for a long time along the way, she heard Yu Tianming ask, and finally asked in a low voice, Can my grandfather's disease be cured? Yu Tianming replied, Of course it can be cured. Even without treatment, Douluo would have reached level 90 with the help of the ice and fire eyes, so it was better to go along with the flow and be a favor. Yu Yuanzhen looked at him deeply when he heard this, but didn't say much. After getting the fairy grass illustrated book, Yu Yuanzhen truly realized how precious the herbs of the ice and fire eyes were, and he did not want to give the fairy grass to Douluo for use. Douluo on the side said happily, Thank you Brother Tianming, thank you Grandpa Yu, I don't know how to repay you. When Yu Yuanzhen heard this, he seemed to have thought of something, and joked, I don't need your repayment. If you really want to repay me, you might as well marry Brother Qin Tianming. Yu Yuanzhen, who originally had a decent face, now showed a bit of narrowness and vulgarity on his face. If Yang Wudi saw it, his image as a superior man would definitely be ruined. Although the 6-year-old Douluo is pure-hearted under the protection of Douluo, children in Douluo continent are generally precocious, so she does not understand everything. Hearing Yu Yuanzhen's narrow words, Douluo blushed to the roots of his ears, lowered his head and just ate in silence. Seeing his charming appearance, Yu Yuanzhen, who was so playful, burst into laughter. In this way, Douluo's neck also turned red, and his whole body was like a cooked prawn with a trace of steam rising. Yu Tianming shook his head helplessly and said, You are almost 100 years old, why are you bullying a little girl when you have nothing to do? Chapter 24. Yu Tianming is not like Tang San who became handsome after awakening. He was born with extremely good looks. After being baptized by the eyes of ice and fire, his basically perfect appearance has a sense of flawlessness, which makes people feel ashamed. If a person's appearance score is 100 points, Yu Tianming can get 99.5 plus 20 points. A baby who has just turned 1 month old will also look at passers-by with good looks. What about Douluo, who can get married under the age of 10? Amidst the conversation and laughter between the two of them, although Duguyan's face was flushed, he still said a subtle hum. Although their voices were extremely low, both of them were people with keen senses. Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen smiled even more happily, but there was a bit more love for the juniors in his originally joking eyes. Yu Tianming was stunned for a moment and said helplessly, Yan, you are still young now. Let's wait until Yan grows up to talk about this kind of thing. After drinking and eating, Yu Yuanzhen took the two of them out of Longjian City and flew to Longji City where the Blue Lightning Overlord sect was located. Since the two cities are not far apart, a few people returned to the Blue Lightning Overlord sect in just a moment. In the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, due to the absence of the two brothers Yu Yuanzhen, the sect affairs were handled by other elders. Just after returning to the sect, Yu Yuanzhen said to an elder who was reviewing documents, "Fourth elder, could you please go to the warehouse and fetch the poison attribute soul bones that were put into the warehouse 2 years ago?" In the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, if the soul bones are not dropped by dragon-type martial souls, or if they are not thunder attribute soul bones, all of them will be exchanged for soul bones with suitable attributes. It was only because there were not many poison attribute soul masters in Douluo continent, and this poison attribute soul bone was not too outstanding that I kept it. Not long after, the elder took the soul bone over. This is a grey left arm bone, in good condition, from a 4,000-year-old sea snake. Although it is not a 10,000-year soul bone, its value is extremely precious. Yu Yuanzhen handed it into Duguyan's arms and said half teasingly, half seriously, "This is the soul bone needed to cure the snake venom on your body. If you marry Tianming in the future, this will be one of the betrothal gifts." Duguyan didn't say anything when he heard the words, and lowered his head shyly. Yu Yuanzhen recruited a maid to accompany Duguyan, and then he and Yu Tianming came to the unoccupied study, handed him the fairy grass catalogue and said, "This is the catalogue of immortal herbs given by Yang Wudi. It contains most of the herbs in the eyes of ice and fire. You choose which immortal herbs to absorb first. You have the strongest talent in our Blue Lightning Overlord sect for generations. To avoid accidents, you also choose 2 for Tianxin and Tianheng to absorb first." Yu Tianming quickly selected the fairy grass, raised his head and asked, "Then what type of fairy grass is Grandpa going to absorb?" Yu Yuanzhen smiled and said, "These fairy herbs can be absorbed by you young people to improve your bloodline. I am already a titled Douluo, and now the absorption effect is not so obvious. Besides, you have to leave some for your descendants." Hearing this, Yu Tianming was stunned and said movedly, "Grandpa is now the pillar of our sect. Only if Grandpa has a higher level of cultivation can our brothers develop better." After that, he pointed to a fairy grass in the illustration and said, "This fairy grass has no special effect, but it has the best effect on improving soul power. It may make Grandpa become a peak Douluo." Yu Yuanzhen heard the words and said with a smile, "If Tianming is determined, then I will just waste one more fairy grass." After the two reached an agreement, they returned to the living room where Duguyan was. Yu Yuanzhen asked the servant to call Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin and said to them, "There is something important now. You two will go with me to Tiandu City." Then he smiled at Duguyan and said, "I can only fly with them too, let Tianming take you to fly." Yu Tianming knew that Yu Yuanzhen, not to mention 4 people, even 8 could be wrapped up and taken away with his soul power, but now he let himself fly with Duguyan. The old man Yu Yuanzhen was obviously telling lies with his eyes open, but Yu Tianming didn't say anything more, picked up Duguyan and jumped into the sky. Seeing this, Yu Yuanzhen also used 2 arms to lift Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin one by one, and went to the ice and fire eyes. Yu Yuanzhen is a titled Douluo who can fly in the air at will. He only needs to lean forward slightly to lead the 2 of them flying at high speeds. Yu Tianming is different. He flies with his wings. If he wants to take people to fly, he can only face the earth and fly with people in his arms. Because Duguyan has not yet attached the first soul ring, the martial soul is not the type that can change the height. Duguyan, who is now only 6 years old, is only nearly 1.4 meters tall, with thin arms and legs, similar to Haihara Ai in Conan. Facing Duguyan, who is just like a primary school student, Yu Tianming, who has been educated in his previous life, will naturally not have any evil thoughts. Because it was far away from Tiandu City and it took a long time to fly, in order to make Duguyan feel more comfortable, he had to hold her neck with one hand and hold her waist with the other. Duguyan was not afraid when he was being carried by Yu Yuan's soul-shaking power. Now he was being carried by Yu Tianming, facing the sky and his back to the earth. He couldn't help but straighten his body in fear, and hugged Yu Tianming's neck tightly with both hands. And her face also leaned against his. 9-year-old Yu Tianming is 1.75 meters tall as an adult, and Duguyan hangs on him like a child. He didn't think much about it, but Duguyan didn't know what to think of, and his face became more and more rosy. Yu Tianming felt that the little face pressed against his was frighteningly hot, and couldn't help but laugh. He thought to himself, Aizhu, who is a fire attribute, is usually not as hot as her. After flying for about half an hour, Duguyan, whose legs had been stretched all the time, couldn't bear it anymore and put his arms on Yu Tianming's waist. Her face, which had turned pale for a long time, turned red again, and she even closed her eyes shyly. Yu Tianming's flying speed was far slower than titled Douluo. Yu Yuanzhen only needed a few hours to travel, and everyone flew from early morning to early next morning. At this time, Dugubo had just calmed down the toxins in his body in the cave. As soon as he went out, he saw Yu Tianming's huge wings passing above his head. There was someone hanging underneath him. Taking a closer look, it was his granddaughter. Seeing this, Dugubo was also very angry. He knew very well what the aristocrats in Tiandu city had their hobbies, and he couldn't help but secretly hate. His granddaughter was only 6 years old, and it was so incompetent to kill this beast. Dugubo, take it seriously. Several people ducked past Yu Tianming and came to the ridge of the ice and fire ice crater, waiting for him to land with gloomy expressions. When Yu Tianming saw Dugubo waiting for him with a ferocious expression, he didn't think much about it and just assumed that he was poisoned and in a bad mood. Then he landed directly in front of him, raised his head and said, "Senior, why are you still up so late?" Dugubo didn't reply to his words, and he didn't care about Yu Yuanzhen who was not far away. He stared at him with green eyes and said fiercely, "Put my granddaughter down first." Chapter 25. When Duguyan heard Dugubo's voice, the blush that had faded away from her face crept to her ears again. He jumped off Yu Tianming's body like an electric shock, stumbled up to Dugubo like a deer, and buried his head in his arms. When Dugubo saw Duguyan running towards him, he quickly asked softly, "Yan Yan, has this kid ever bullied you?" Duguyan did not answer, but said, "Brother Tianming has found a way to detoxify. Grandpa will not have to suffer so much in the future." Hearing this, Dugubo was stunned. The jade scale snake venom has tortured him for half his life. Not only was it painful when the poison was released, but it also made other soul masters unwilling to interact with him. A few years ago, his son and daughter-in-law also passed away from him due to the poison, and now they have passed it on to his precious granddaughter. Originally, he had accepted a rough and tortuous fate, but he didn't expect that they found a way to detoxify overnight, which made him a little dazed and at a loss. At this time, Duguyan in his arms whispered again, "Grandpa, you also gave me a soul bone and said it was a betrothal gift." Duguyan's voice became lower and lower as he spoke, but Dugubo still listened carefully. Only then did Dugubo realize that Yu Tianming, who was already as tall as an adult, was only less than 3 years older than his granddaughter. After the previous poison attack, I was in a state of low energy, and I happened to see this kid hugging Yan Yan, and then I forgot his age. Now, he couldn't help but look at Yu Tianming in front of him. He saw that he was more than 7 feet tall, with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes, fair skin and a gentle and calm smile at the corner of his mouth. In terms of appearance, he was already the most handsome person he had ever seen. Thinking that he is still the confirmed successor of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, with high soul power and good speaking skills, it is no wonder that Yan Yan still likes him so much. As his thoughts flowed, Dugubo had already lost all his anger, but he still said sternly, "Yan Yan is only 6 years old. I advise you not to have any evil thoughts towards him." When Duguyan in his arms heard these words, he squirmed like a caterpillar in embarrassment on his body and said angrily, "Grandpa, Brother Tianming is a good person." Seeing his granddaughter acting like this, Dugubo knew that she was hopeless. He sighed and said, "Be kind to Yan Yan in the future." Yu Tianming did not answer his words, but said, "We have found a way to help you detoxify." Having said this, Dugubo's thoughts turned back to Duguyan, and he asked eagerly, "How to detoxify?" Yu Tianming smiled and said, "Because the jade phosphorus snake has a beast martial soul, it will be poisoned after the martial soul has affected the body for a long time. You only need to force the toxin into the soul bone, then the toxin will not endanger yourself. Douluo frowned. I have been practicing the jade phosphorus snake spirit for more than 60 years, and the poison has already entered the bone marrow. If the poison is forced out, the backlash may be even more severe. However, Yin Yan's poisoning is still superficial, so you can give it a try. Yu Tianming added, the cold Yin spring and the blazing Yang spring have strong restraint on any poison, and the spring water is invulnerable to all poisons. You rely on this to suppress the poison. Now I have taken the poison on the spring. The two medicinal herbs also have some abilities of Lianjian. If they use my sui. Douluo has been immersed in the poisonous arts for many years. When he heard this, he interrupted directly, if I use your blood to help me remove the toxins, I am afraid that the poisonous skills I have practiced for many years will be destroyed. If you use my blood as a primer, and add some herbs to relax your muscles and activate blood circulation, can you slowly guide the deep-rooted toxins out? If I follow what you said, even if all the toxins cannot be integrated into the soul bone, most of them can be removed. The more Douluo said, the more hopeful he felt, and he looked over with faint green eyes and said, You have a good understanding. I wonder if you would like to learn how to use poison with me. Tang San came up with this method, how could he know how to treat it? Even if he could learn it, he would not want to learn such a trivial trick. Yu Tianming sighed helplessly and took out a small jade bottle. He cut his finger and let out 2 milliliters of blood. He threw the bottle containing the blood to Douluo and said, I'm not interested in using poison. Seniors should teach Yan Goose. Use a little less of the blood each time to slowly push out the toxins. In the original work, Tang San only gave Douluo 1 drop of blood every day, and he could use these 2 milliliters of blood for 2 months without any problems. Douluo sighed in disappointment after receiving the blood. Without saying anything, he picked up Douguyan and returned to his cave on the mountainside in a few steps. Douluo naturally knew the power of the ice and fire eyes, so he never brought Douguyan here because he was afraid that the aura here would harm his granddaughter. Although there was not such violent spiritual energy on the ridge of the crater of the Urgi, he did not want Douguyan to stay longer. When things happened, Yu Tianming said to Yu Yuanzhen, who was not far away, Grandpa, it might be dangerous for Tianxin and Tianheng to get close to Lianjian. Why don't I go over and collect the herbs they need? Seeing Yu Yuanzhen nodding, Yu Tianming spread his wings and glided towards the Lianji. Not far from the Eye of Ice and Fire, there are several herbs that look like Ganoderma lucidum, but their appearance is slightly different. Far away from the Lianji, there are 3 lavender Ganoderma lucidum plants. They are purple in color, with a cap-like top and an emerald-like stem below with 9 leaves. They are the 9th grade purple Ganoderma. Although it is a rare treasure, it is not considered a fairy. Closer to Liangyin are 2 dark purple Ganoderma lucidum plants, which also have 9 leaves, but there are dragon patterns coiled on the leaves. If you look closely, they are even more emitting a little golden light. This is the 9th grade Ganoderma lucidum, which is the same as the 9th grade Ganoderma lucidum. Ginseng-like fairy grass. According to the immortal grass illustration, only by absorbing the aura of the dragon all year round can the 9th grade purple ji become the 9th grade long ji. It is thought that these 2 plants can become the 9th grade dragon mushroom because they are close to the ice and fire eyes and are affected by the aura of the dragon king. But for some reason Tang San had already seen the 9th grade long ji, but at the end he hesitated for a moment and gave Yu Xiaogang a piece of 9th grade purple ji. Could it be that he didn't remember that Luo Sanbao was mutated from the Blue Lightning Overlord sect? Yu Tianming did not stay here for long. He quickly picked 2 9th grade long ji plants and then flew back to Yu Yuanzhen and the others and explained to them. This is the 9th grade long ji. Taking it can strengthen the muscles and bones, and it has the effect of strengthening the body and cultivating the body. Dragon Soul Masters can improve their qualifications and increase their bloodline by taking it. After hearing this, Yu Tianxin and Yu Tianheng did not take any medicine. Instead, they asked, Did you prepare any medicinal herbs that day? Yu Tianming said gently, This 9 grade long ji has little effect on improving my bloodline. Taking it can only strengthen the body and strengthen the body, so I might as well give it to you. After hearing this, the 2 of them stopped asking any more questions, took the 9-pin long ji and put it into their mouths, chewed it a few times and swallowed it.